Okay, thank you. Welcome, everyone, to the November Community Board 2 full board meeting. I'm Susan Kent. I am the chair of CB2, and I was informed that we do have quorum, but we will start with an attendance. That's okay. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Susanna Aaron here. Akila Asqui. William Benesh. Here. Keenberger. Here. Keenberger. Here. Carter Booth. Here. Katie Bordenaro. Here. Anita Brandt. Here. I'm here. Amy Brenna. Rich Cacapolo. Here. Ritu Chatri. Here. Valerie De La Rosa. Here. Chris Dignas. Here. Mara Fitzgerald. No. Stella Fitzgerald. Cormac Flynn. Here. Susan Gamey. Here. I know you're right. David Gruber. Here. Ann Hager. Julian Harkey. Here. Wayne Kawadler is absent with notice. Zach Kazaz. He's also absent. Got it. Susan Kent. Here. Ryder Kessler. Here. Janine Kiley. Here. Ivy Quanars. Here. Patricia Laria. Michael Levine. Here. Ed Ma. I believe he's absent with notice too. Oh, he is? Okay. Matt Metzger. Dan Miller is absent with notice. Erica Olson. Juan Osorio. Brian Pape. Here. Okay. Donna Raftery. Lois Rakoff. Bo Riccobono. Here. Zach Roberts is absent with nope. Oh, no, you're here. Okay, I got it. Yes. I got this X mixed up. So sorry. Rosia Sands. She's here. Yeah, I see her. Yes. Shirley Secunda. Okay. Kristen Shea. Federica Siegel. Here. Emma Smith. Dr. Shirley Smith. Shanat Spence. Okay. Susan Wittenberg. Anthony Wong. Here he is. And Cheryl Wu is absent with notice, and Eugenio is absent with notice. I'll just call out once again Akila Asqui, Mara Fitzgerald, Ann Hager, Matt Metzger, Juan Osorio, Donna Raftery, Kristen Shea, and Shanat Spence. Okay, we have quorum. Thank you, Amy. Next is public sessions, and I will turn it over to our first vice chair, Valerie De La Rosa.
Thank you so much. Now that I know the range of this microphone, we're going to start out with public testimony. I'm going to call on agenda items first, and then we will go to non-agenda items. So do we have Lisa Fairstein here? Lisa? Okay. Next, we're going to go to Leslie Clark.
Resolution on the rules, but I haven't seen the resolution yet. So
it's coming.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Next, Stu Waldman, Mickey McGee, Renee Monrose, Norma Coach. Okay. All right. Okay, so is that Renee Monrose? Is that you? I'm not sure who said me too. Renee Monrose, Norma Cole, Lisa, or no, it's a different one. Okay. So then we'll go to, so that's kind of the public session then. We will go to Darlene Lutz next. And then Shirley Secunda.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I am Darlene Litz. I'm a longtime resident of Community Board 2 and longstanding member of the First Precinct Community Council. CB2 is served by 4 precincts. Can everybody know? I know you can hear me, but you should be able to repeat my mantra by now. The first precinct covers Soho and west to the Hudson River. So that's the east side of Broadway and the south side of Hudson Street and all the way over. We're also known as Sector D. The final public meeting with the precinct is on Thursday, November 30th at 6 p.m. at the Precinct House, which is located 2 blocks south of Canal on Varick Street. Attending the precinct meeting affords residents a great opportunity to bring issues directly to the attention of the commanding officer. Ours is Captain Joe Rosenthal. I encourage all those who live in Soho to attend the precinct meetings. We're a tiny part of the first precinct's territory, and we compete with Community Board 1 for attention. Okay. I myself am going to be seeking a better understanding of traffic control at the Holland Tunnel, which I believe most know I live on top of. As always, you can contact me directly at sohowestnyc@gmail.com. I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and a bounty of delicious pie. I'm especially thankful to the board members here and the incredible amount of work you do for this community. Thank you very much. It's much appreciated. Good evening. I can bend this down to me. Can you, if I, okay, great. So anyhow, I'm Shirley Secunda. I am Community Board 2's representative to the Village Alliance Business Improvement District. And I have just learned that they're going to have what I think sounds like a really fun event. So I wanted to share it with you. The name of the event is Light Up the Village. And it will be held on Friday, December 1st from 3 to 7 p.m. And I'm just going to tell you a few things that are in store. So entertainment, Greenwich House's older adult chorus, the Brass Queens, Ideal Orchestra, Greenwich House, I said the older adult choir already. Okay, and live painting by an artist by the name of Misha Tayut Munich. And I think that he will probably be doing these paintings all along the evening and then probably having them up for some kind of auction at the end. Okay, then discounts and specials. And these can be picked up at the Village Alliance table. 15% off and free rose salad from C.O. Bigelow. 15% off from Pone Pasta. Lace Bar is giving a special drink, Nog Nog, who's there? And free dog treats from Manhattan Office. Okay, there will also be tours and open houses. New York Studio School, an historic building, where we're giving a tour of the whole building. Shava Art, the Institute for Art, for Arab and Islamic Art, and Shop Untitled. And there will be several children's activities, like the Double Dutch Light Up Jump Rope with Coach Kizzy. And there's even going to be a Christmas tree right in the middle of the street. Oh, and by the way, did I say that it was on 8th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue? Closed, the street will be closed. And in the middle of the street, there will be Christmas trees. So, and lots of other things. I just touched the surface. So come and enjoy. What? Yeah, sure. It is. And I think they're sending it in for our calendar as well. It's December 1st from 3 to 7 p.m.
Public
3 to 7 p.m. December 1st.
guy here.
December first, Friday, yeah. I didn't say that? Oh, no, whatever. Yeah, Friday, December first. Okay.
Reopen it, working group.
Yeah, Will.
I don't know that we have a Wi-Fi password for the school. If you have a hotspot,
Yeah, there's.
there isn't one apparently.
No, there is a guest, but I don't know.
We don't have the password for it. I'm sorry.
I'll try to look it up.
You know, yes, we will be giving a prize if you guess correctly. Are we done with?
Is there anyone who did not get called on for the public session that is not with an elected official or elected official's office?
I think there was some, there were people who came to comment on our reserve for the rules.
They left.
Did everyone who was here for that purpose leave? No. We will, after that is presented, we will allow you to stand up and speak so that.
They'll reopen public session.
For you because we had a glitch. Thank you. So, okay.
So with that, I will close the public session and hand it back over to Chair Susan Ken. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The next item is adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Thank you. Second. Thank you. All those in favor? Any nays or abstentions? Thank you very much. And now we will go to reports from our elected officials and their representatives. We have a bunch of seats up here. If all you good people who are here representing some office would come up and take these seats so that we can call you quickly. And I know from the controller's office, you asked to speak first, so please go ahead. Everyone has 2 minutes. Which of course you don't have to spend all of.
Good evening. My name is Evelyn Collado, and I'm the Manhattan Borough Director for New York City Comptroller Brad Lander. Thank you for the opportunity to address you tonight. So I brought some printouts. It's only going to serve as a guide. You will have to access these reports and investigations, audits online. But there are a couple of items that I would like to highlight tonight for you. The first one is our audit report on New York City compliance with the charter mandated fair share process. The controller's office found that the fair share system is badly broken, and the city has failed to meet its charter obligations when it comes to city-side facilities in pursuit of equitable outcomes. So we also put together a resource with geospatial information where you can online access per community board the different municipal sites per district. So whether it's police departments, fire departments, shelters, emergency relief centers, or migrant centers, you will be able to look at the numbers per community board and look how it compares across New York City. I also want to highlight the launch of our capital projects tracker. This is a joint release with City Hall, and it also can be accessed by community board. You can find projects for bridges, sewer, sanitation, NYCHA buildings, etc. So you will be able to see the cost, the current phase, the projected completion date for these construction projects, as well as additional details. So those are the two things. We also released a report on City Bike's performance to date. We also have our second annual report on investments for MWBE and emerging manager firms.
This is all your written report?
So yes, I sent a copy of this, but my time is up.
Yeah, okay.
Well, so I'll leave some copies as well as my business card. So please feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Any questions? Please.
Say that the mayor plans in various budgets across the city. That's going to impact. That will impact healthcare, in particular, mental health care specifically. We have Beth Israel closing. And now we're going to have a cut in funding. Can you comment on what the controller's office, how you're going to be involved in that?
Well, I can actually quote directly from him. He released a statement earlier today and, he said he continued to press for more state and federal funding. And he thinks that we should concentrate on helping asylum seekers, get their, temporary protected status, and asylum applications, the work authorization, get jobs and move out of the shelter system, so that they can contribute to the economy and we can avoid the service cuts for all New Yorkers. So I'll leave this over there so you can.
He didn't say anything about healthcare, about health services?
You can read the full statement. I don't know it by heart, but he touches on several points.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. Sir, you are next.
Basically sitting on the microphone right here. Hi, guys, my name is Jasper. I represent Assembly Member Grace Lee. Usually see me virtually, but you managed to drag me out of the house for this one, so thank you for that. Anyways, I just have a couple quick updates. The biggest one would be an update on the work that we have been doing to hold Columbia University accountable for the crimes of Robert Haddon, who is a ex-OB/GYN doctor who was accused of assaulting over 500 women during his time employed with the university. So we led a press conference on October 24th with survivors voicing our demands, and we also hand delivered a letter to the president. And we are very pleased to share that just this week, Columbia officially agreed to our demands. And we'll be taking a series of actions to bring justice to Haddon survivors. So that includes notifying all of his past patients of his conviction, his federal conviction, and so that they have an opportunity to seek justice before the expiration of the Adult Survivors Act later this month. They will also be conducting an internal investigation into how his crimes were allowed to take place for 25 years under the university's watch. And they will also be setting up a $100 million settlement fund for these victims. So we are very proud of the work we did with survivors, and we will be continuing to monitor the university to make sure that they actually follow through on these promises. Next, I will give an update on so last week, Assemblymember Lee joined Senator Brad Hoylman and then the Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, to introduce a new bill that intends to confront the severe rise in hate that minorities across New York have experienced over the past couple of years. This is called, am I running out of time?
Yeah.
Oof, I want to talk quicker. It's called the Hate Crimes Modernization Act, and it basically addresses a couple loopholes in the existing laws that allow for certain acts that are clearly acted with bias intent, but are not allowed to be charged with hate crimes due to stature. So it basically expands the acceptable list of crimes that can be considered hate crimes, and it is part of our ongoing effort to confront hate in New York through a holistic approach. Thank you very much.
And your
Any
request
questions?
will be available.
I had to send you guys a digital copy. I did not bring.
Thank you very much. That's great. We will then just distribute it. Any questions? Yes, Amy.
Scott. Easy one.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
No, Peter?
Good evening. My name is
Oh.
Peter Say.
Whenever you, go ahead, Peter.
All right.
Sorry.
I'm Peter Say. I am the community liaison for the Manhattan District Attorney. I'm going to continue, just add a few more things to what Jasper said about the hate crimes bill last week that was co-sponsored by Assemblymember Lee and State Senator Hoylman. The key thing is where the bill proposes adding 33 more types of hate crimes, because right now to charge somebody with a hate crime, it's a very narrow statute. So this, if it gets passed and signed, will go a long way in helping us prosecute more hate crimes. So that is good news. Hope this goes through. The second thing I just want to announce is also, it's only November, but if you have any students that are interested in summer internships next year, we will be starting to accept applications at the district attorney's office. If you have a child or you know somebody who's interested in a law degree, it's an excellent opportunity to get exposure. We have intern programs for high school students and for second-year college students. So if you have any interest, I'll leave my card and I'll be around to answer any questions. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Any questions? No. Doesn't, thank you. Roy, you were here first.
Hi, oh, all right. Roy Ruiz with Assemblymember Deborah Glick's office. I just wanted to mention, because we left some of these up there for you to take a look at, and I'll just mention the Mount Sinai Beth Israel closing. We found out about it in September. It was shocking to us. Shortly after, we reached out to the Department of Health to have a conversation with them to see if in fact it was gonna close. And at the time they said, no, they didn't have anything on paper, but then shortly after we were contacted by Mount Sinai Beth Israel, and we had a meeting with them with a lot of elected official officers actually. And they did confirm that they had put in the paperwork, and it is now published in their website. They are closing July, if I'm not mistaken, July 24th, right? July 12th, okay, July 12th, 2024. And we are working together to explore options and alternatives so that we can hopefully prevent that. But, you know, for now, it is set in stone that that's the closing date. And the second thing I'll mention is that the SLA chair came to the district 2 times, actually. The first time I didn't get to make that meeting, but I heard a lot of things were brought up. And then the second one I did get to go. And I thought it was a very constructive meeting. And a lot of things were talked about and addressed. The 500-foot rule, which has been a problem in this district for a very long time. And a lot of other things relating to, you know, serving alcohol across the bike lanes, which I think the chair is willing to now look at and work with us to find solutions to. So I think that's just pretty good steps we're taking. So that's about as much as I have. Yes.
I'm sorry about Mount Sinai Beth Israel, the closing of Beth Israel. I don't think we've been kept in the loop on it at a community board level, and I would just like to ask that you guys keep us in the loop. It's
Great.
not our district, but obviously we will feel the effects quite as much significantly. Thank you.
Yeah.
The other thing about SLA, if this is an ongoing conversation, one of the problems we've always had is that the stipulations that this board works so hard to reach with operators are not posted anywhere. No one seems to know what they are. And if you make a complaint, you have no idea if they're allowed to have their windows open at that time or not allowed to have their windows open at time. It's not very transparent. So
Mhm.
I'd like to put that word in for that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'll definitely bring it up. I think you guys did a phenomenal job at the meetings as well. Like the representation from CB2 was there, and they talked about these things and brought up
Yeah.
a lot of it. So it was great.
We did bring those up to Chairman Fan. And supposedly there was work being done on their system that will allow us to access, that the public will be allowed to access this when they fix it, which I couldn't give you a timeline on.
Okay, good. That's good for me. Okay, thank
This is fine, right? Can you hear me okay? My name's Connor Allerton. I'm from Councilmember Christopher Marte's office. Just with a few updates. First, around outdoor dining, we've been like trying to, everything okay? We were trying to do our due diligence, researching the proposed rules. We're in the review period right now. I think as you're well aware, the period ends November 20th with a public hearing that the council member plans to testify at. Some of the things that we've been advocating for since day one, things like shorter license terms, architect certified drawings, shorter roadway cafe season, hours of operation is a problem. Roadway cafe review as extensive as the sidewalk cafe review. There's a big discrepancy at the moment. Greater community board and council oversight, greater penalties and better enforcement. We've seen how the temporary programs kind of played out. So I encourage everyone to testify. Hopefully they can improve the rules. And we've been working on a summary for those rules, and we'd be happy to share that with the community board just to better digest exactly what they're proposing. The other thing is zoning for economic opportunity, which is like one of the big City of Yes text amendments that we're in right now. We've been working to analyze that document closely. It's like 1,200 pages. It's a lot, but we want to do the same thing, be able to share our notes and our analysis with the community board, anyone who's interested, because it's so hard to digest. So we want to be able to share resources that way. We know that we're in the community board review period right now for that. And I think we also advocate strongly for an extension of that review period just because of the sheer size of the text amendment. In terms of legislation, we have a hearing tomorrow for our bill that would require senior service providers to attend a training to prevent and eliminate discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression. There'll be a hearing tomorrow at 10 at City Hall. Anyone can testify in person or over Zoom or submit written testimony by Monday morning. We also introduced legislation with Councilmember Powers and other council members that would make the unlicensed cannabis shops covered by the city's public nuisance law. This would give the NYPD greater enforcement powers over these shops. Participatory budgeting is still ongoing. You have until the end of the month to submit ideas. And just a point on the mayor's budget cuts announcement, as it was already mentioned, the council member has already scheduled a meeting with the council finance division to really understand exactly what's being proposed, what's being proposed to be cut. Obviously, this is a huge problem, so we're looking for ways to push back, and we'll share more as information becomes available.
Your report is, you'll send us a link so that we can share.
For the,
Do you have a
in terms of the
written report that?
For the updates just now?
Yeah.
Oh, this is verbal. I can also share it as well.
No problem, no problem.
All right.
That's okay, that's okay.
Okay,
We have questions, not so fast.
Or on health aid?
Yes, so the number 24 Act is a legislation that Councilmember Marti introduced. We have been having pushback from the speaker getting a vote. We've had a hearing. We're trying to get it to a vote. We've been holding rallies. They've been intensifying because we're really trying to get this passed. As you know, I mean, we've heard from at this community board the importance of this bill. If you don't know, basically home attendants are required to work 24-hour shifts in New York City. It's the only city in the state that requires that. It's not even a state issue, it's just a city issue. Other places in New York State have split shifts where you just do 12 and 12. It's the same amount of care, but it's just split between two home attendants. It makes a lot more sense. And currently, if you work 24-hour shift, you only get paid 13 of those hours. So it's really ridiculous. We encourage you to, if it's something that you care about, we encourage you to come to the rallies, to get involved, to advocate for your local electeds, to, get this thing pushed through. We really hope so. I mean, it's our number one legislative item. It has been from the beginning. We're doing everything we can. We're trying to think really creatively to move it forward.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Susan.
Hi, Connor.
Hi.
I was glad that you brought up the City of Yes discussions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we just had the presentation given to us at land use this week. I think it'd be great if
Mhm.
you or Chris or, maybe came to the next land use meeting, because that way we could think with you, and, the fact that you're going to be going through the plan, the proposals, I think will be really helpful to us. But there does seem to be some time pressure. It'd be great if we could get that extended.
Yes.
So the sooner we all talk, the better.
Yeah, I think we want to, I think that's something that we're definitely supportive of, the time extension. And then in the meantime, since it's been released, like I've been just working on basically just summarizing the whole document as best I can. And that's kind of wrapping up now. So that's why I bring it up now, because it's something that we'd be happy to share. If a discussion is needed, happy to do that as well, because I think there's just so much information. And we obviously have our own comments and recommendations, but also just want to make sure that people know exactly what is being proposed.
And
We'll stay in touch with that.
I will let you know that I was informed today that we will have through January to provide comments on that. There will be no action taken before February.
Great.
Thank you, Connor.
Any other questions?
I don't see any more questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Nicole.
This can move like this. I'm Nicole Barth. I'm from Councilmember Eric Botcher's office. I just wanted to share a few things. First, we passed legislation of monitoring unreadable license plates. And the legislation, Intro 712-A, required the New York City Department of Transportation to publish quarterly reports showing how many times a city violation camera was foiled because the driver had defaced or covered his or her plates. The report would include information on days and times when license plates could not be read, the community districts where they could not be read, and the reason the license plate could not be read. Cracking down on this illegal obstruction of license plates will really help law enforcement agencies in their efforts to identify vehicles that involved in criminal activities and aiding investigations, and also ensuring public safety and promoting accountability. The second piece of legislation was padlocking illegal cannabis shops. Hooray. It was introduced by Councilmember Keith Powers and was co-primed by Councilmember Botcher, and it will introduce a new category to the nuisance abatement law, making it significantly easier to padlock illegal cannabis stores. The bill, what's really important is the bill is also going to create a new category of public nuisance for 7 to anyone under the age of 21. And such activities will be subject to permanent or preliminary injunctions, temporary closing orders, and temporary restraining orders. I know this is outside of CB2, but it's big paper shredding. This weekend, on 26th Street between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. between 8th Avenue and 9th Avenue. It's a hot event. I recommend coming if you have extra things you have to shred up. Don't forget we have community cleanups on Sunday. I will submit the reports so everybody has the dates, but we have one this weekend and also December 3rd. Come on out and help your community keep the neighborhood clean. And I wanted to say, even though kind of already mentioned this, is participatory budgeting time. Get your ideas in. If you want to be a delegate, please come join us. It's a fantastic way to determine how the money is spent in your neighborhood and what it's spent on. Lastly, we still have our clinics, our housing clinic, second Tuesday of each month, and our Scree Dream clinic with the public engagement unit. The latest public engagement unit on the second Thursday of each month. Thank you.
Question. Lois.
Hi.
Once he gets the statistics of the unclear, inconspicuous license plates, what is he going to do about that? What will be the next step?
I think that I actually don't really have an answer that for that. One agencies used to help them enforce having a license plate. I don't know. It was just introduced. I'm sorry. I can get an answer and get it to you though, if you'd like.
You're welcome. Any other questions? None? Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
It's going to be too tall for me too. Hi, everybody. I'm Katie Loeb. I'm from Councilmember Carlina Rivera's office. And I wanted to start off with participatory budgeting, which my colleagues have mentioned. But this year, it's very exciting for us in Community Board 2 because it will be on the new district lines, which is going to go all the way to 6th Avenue in District 2 between Houston and 15th Street. So that means much more of Community Board 2 will be covered. And that portion is not currently in our district. So we really, really, really need your help on suggesting ideas that covers this area. At District Service Cabinet, I mentioned it, and I think the district manager sent it out, so we've got some good suggestions already, but we could always use more, so please bring me your idea suggestions. If you'd like to be a budget delegate, contact our office. The first meeting with agencies will be on December 5th. We're still accepting project ideas, even if the website tells you that it was due on the 10th. That is not true. It's still going on. So we're looking forward to some good CB2 projects this year. I also wanted to announce that we're having a resource fair tomorrow from 3 to 5:30 p.m. at Baruch College. It's not in CB2, but it's open to the whole district. It's open to everybody, really. And we'll have over 20 agencies there providing resources and materials. And it'll also be an opportunity to get your flu shot if you haven't gotten it. You know, just add it to the other errands and we'll take care of it. For some legislative updates, the council member has introduced and passed a lot of legislation recently. She's passed legislation to enhance our lead protection laws so that lead in common areas of buildings with children under 10 is now a nuisance, which will just help ensure that we stay lead free. And she's hoping to pass more tenant protection bills the remainder of the session. But anything that doesn't pass this session, we're planning to reintroduce and roll over next session and pursue as well. And she also introduced a bill that would prohibit the release of birds for commercial purposes. This was inspired by the pink pigeon found in Madison Square Park, who unfortunately we believe was a gender reveal party gone awry, and the pigeon did not survive. And so it was very, very tragic, and the council member's been working with Wild Bird Fund and other animal rights groups to try to prohibit this kind of activity from happening in the future. So that is my full report. I would also say I've got these hard copies in the back, but this is pretty short. And if you have more questions, I encourage you to sign up for our e-newsletter, and I can provide a link. I'll send a link, but then these hard copies in the back.
Awesome.
Cormac.
When you say that you want to stop these sorts of activities from happening in the future, I just hope that you mean gender reveal parties. Thank you.
We tried, but apparently it's not in the New York City statute, so we're just going with the birds for now.
Okay. Any other questions? No. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Carolyn.
Hi, I'm Caroline Lexeldum. I'm from State Senator Brad Hoylman Siegel's office. We have our board reports in the back. I'm not going to cover everything, but I hope you'll read it. We work hard on these. The first item in the report is protecting New Yorkers from hate crimes. I will not go over that because the DA's office and Assemblymember Lee's office already covered that. But I will say that Senator Hoylman Siegel held a hearing on family court on November 1st. And we heard from parents, attorneys, and judges about the severe shortage and underfunding of judges and legal representation for families. And so we got a lot of really, really great feedback that we're hoping to incorporate into the legislative session. We also have an event this Saturday. It's a blood drive at West Beth. In our board report, there's a QR code that you can scan to sign up, or instructions on how to find the sign up page. We held a senior resource fair a few weeks ago, and we were very happy to have over 50 vendors, city agencies, and organizations, and almost 400 people came. So thank you for that. And finally, we just want to express our gratitude in advance for drafting a resolution on our 4 e-bike safety bill. So I look forward to hearing the discussion on those tonight.
Thank you. Any questions? Oh, please, you do.
Scooters and I don't want to call them e-bikes, but non-pedal assisted e-bikes that are on the sidewalks
Power
going the wrong
assisted
way.
bikes.
I'm sorry.
Power assisted.
Power assisted bikes.
Okay.
Can you provide an update of where that is?
Well, we're not in session yet. Session starts in January. So those were introduced, but there hasn't been any movement, because we're not there yet. Sorry, is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? No, that's it. Like, you're
Thank
great.
you. Very good.
Hi, everyone. I'm Becca Rosenberg from Manhattan Bar President Mark Levine's office. I'm here filling for Andrew, who you'll know a little bit better, but happy almost Thanksgiving. And the big thing I want to mention is that we're finishing up a really busy week of our Manhattan Leadership training series. So we've been holding a series of 1 hour virtual sessions mostly that help to teach people about various things around city government, whether it's understanding the budget or EO or conflicts of interest. We do have a few more trainings that you can still sign up for, including one tomorrow. That's going to be a really a big one with it's going to be about emergency preparedness. It's at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, and they'll be giving out to-go bags as well as the actual training. So anybody who still signs up, you can come along and get one of those. It's at noon tomorrow at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. We also have, after that, on Monday, we have another in-person training at noon. That will be a hybrid training as well as in person. But if you come in person, you will also get a bit of a giveaway. This one is on overdose prevention training. And if you come in person, you'll get Narcan dosages to then carry so that you'll know how to treat and prevent overdoses from there. So we highly encourage you to sign up and come to those. There's one more virtual training on combating implicit bias, which is online on Zoom on December 4th at 5. So if you want to know more about any of those, they're on our website. We also have some holiday giveaways coming up, including a turkey giveaway on Monday at 2 p.m. at Bargain Neighborhood Health Center, 2265 3rd Avenue. You can also find that on our website under our events tab under resources. We also, we've been busy in terms of several other things. We passed a resolution at our borough board at the October meeting to support the statewide right to counsel for all New Yorkers facing legal proceedings. We want the state to fully fund this initiative. We also held a public hearing this morning on the City of Yes for Economic Opportunity. You know, as some people have been discussing, it proposes a lot of things, but meant to revise our zoning laws and revitalize our commercial corridors and fill our storefronts and just update all of the rules around the zoning regulations that will hopefully make our city better for it. Again, since COVID cases are still at elevated levels, we want folks to please get your flu and COVID shots. You can get those at many pharmacies. And you can find locations at vaccinefinder.nyc.gov. And you can also get free test kits from the federal government. Again, if you go to covid.gov/tests. Thank you, everyone.
Great. Any questions? Carter.
Question raised by several members of the executive meeting regarding the training, whether or not reporting of them.
I have an answer for that one, actually.
Any other way to pass it?
Yeah, feel free.
Yeah, I asked the question today. I was informed that all the training will be on YouTube, and they're planning to sort of update them so that they will have codes embedded to enable just the way people engage in professional continuing education. You watch it and then you enter the codes, and this way it requires that you actually, fulfill your responsibility. That is in the works. We will let you know when that's possible. It is a requirement every other year that all board members both watch conflict of interest and anti-bias training videos. So one of those things, if you've been able to do it in this round, we will let you know when that opportunity becomes available. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. And then we have, and then, okay, Stacey, you, absolutely.
Okay, I'm Stacy Johnson from State Senator Brian Kavanaugh's office, and he had a bill signed this week. So the governor signed his deed theft bill. So there was a deed theft hearing last year, about October, I think. No, maybe not. I don't remember when it was, but it was like almost a year ago. And there were a lot of heart-wrenching stories explaining the details of how deed theft happens. And legal service providers talked about the holes in the law as to why it's not always enforceable. So anyway, this new piece of legislation will help close up some of those holes and make sure that there's a longer list of crimes that can be, a longer list of things that qualify as crime so that the sale wouldn't be official. And then there was a bill delivered to the governor on Monday that we're hoping that she signs. It's a bill that requires NYCHA to notify residents as soon as possible water service disruption. And it also establishes guidelines for water testing. And yesterday, Senator Kavanaugh was upstate at Cooperstown. He was the keynote speaker for the New York State Association for Reduction, Reuse, and Recycling Conference. And he talked a lot about extended producer responsibility because he carries a lot of bills about what they call EPR. So they try to make sure like carpet companies like have to take back and recycle old carpets, and different companies have to take back their products and recycle them properly. So those are the ledge updates, and for the community updates, we have a new chief of staff. Her name is Morgan Simcoe, and she started last week, and she's fantastic. She's from Massachusetts. She has an MPH, so Master's in Public Health, and she also has been a chief of staff and a comms director for a legislator in Massachusetts. So she comes with a lot of experience, not super knowledgeable about New York City, but that's what the rest of us are here for. And Emily Lang is leaving. She's our communications director. We're hiring 2 community liaisons very soon in her spot. And I am staying with you here at CB2, so you probably won't feel most of that, but just to let you know, there is a lot of transition internally. We don't have a newsletter. That's one of the things we're going to try to get off the ground, to start having a paper newsletter like everyone else with our new chief of staff, but you're always welcome to call me and I will give you everything that I know and help you in any way possible. And then I was just going to touch on the SLA meeting we had that Roy already talked about. So we did a meeting for this week, Chair and a lot of you guys were there from CB2, and a lot of different block associations were there. And it does sound like she's going to try to get creative about how to address the oversaturation of liquor licenses. And also she is doing a lot in the agency to clean up and make it a little bit more efficient and a little bit more transparent. So we will continue to push her to do those things. And if you have specific complaints about liquor licenses, you can call me. And also cannabis, illegal cannabis shops, we're trying to do our part. We have a long list of addresses that we are sending letters to the landlord to push them to basically kick out their tenants who are, if they are selling if they're illegally selling cannabis. So if you have specific locations and addresses that you'd like us to send a letter from the senator's office, we will do that. So you can just email or call me, and I'll put it on the list. That's it.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Evan.
Perfect. We have 7 minutes from Congressman Newman's office on a bit of the piece. I think some of the people, most of you have come to us about United States Postal Service issues. Thank you so much for that. I have a letter back here at the back from the Postal Service
You'll notice some of them, unfortunately, in the district, a lot of mail theft has been happening. They've been conducting inspections from the United States Postal Service, so you'll see locks on some of your drop boxes. They have now said which ones they will replace them with. So you can check that letter out in the back. There are a bunch of different addresses, front and back of where they have done these inspections, and you should be getting them back within a couple of weeks. I apologize for that. A lot of people's social security checks have been stolen. People have put glue traps in them and stolen people's mail. It's a very crazy situation. Thank you for your patience. If you have those issues, please reach out to our office and we can make an inquiry on your block. So I want to start off and say that on the Washington piece of our role, a lot of that seeing what is going on right now. As many of you know, the government has been funded. It has, but the continuing resolution has been passed. It will hopefully be signed by the president, so no impact on anyone. I do want to speak a little bit about what's going on in Bermuda, as even some of your local electeds are done. We have been as helpful as we possibly can with the White House and the Biden administration of what they're doing. Those call for pauses and humanitarian aid. It's for the Palestinian citizens and space for them to evacuate, but also understanding that as long as Hamas is in control, peace and security for both Israelis and also the Palestinians just will not be likely. So we're doing everything possible and all we can do. If anyone has any questions, as always, feel free to reach out to our office. We're in the office every day. Give us a call, shoot us an email. And if you have a congressional inquiry, please fill out a privacy release form.
Great questions. Cormac.
I appreciate your update on Israel and Gaza. I wonder if you have any update on where we are with moving forward the Ukraine funding.
Yeah, part of the statement that was put out by the Democrats was they are planning to address this in December or January. The continuing resolution addresses the funding. It doesn't address Ukraine or Israel. Office put out a statement that it checked certain boxes, but we continue to fight for aid for Ukraine and Israel. That's a good question.
Yes, can you tell me why Goldman wanted to censor that person?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to help this Israel Gaza thing.
So there's a statement that's online that I'm more than happy to send to the board that gives it in his language of what happened. But yes, he reached out to the concerns that he had of some of the statements that she made, and then just kind of went from there based off of what happened there. But I will let you read the statement from his words.
And we will forward anything that we receive from the office, of course.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah.
I guess that's all the reps that are here. So thank you very much. Quick report. I already mentioned the training that is required. So today at Borough Board, unfortunately, the Office of Cannabis Management was not able to present to us, but they have rescheduled. So if anyone is interested in that, on the 29th at 6 p.m., there will be a presentation that will be online that everyone can watch. Fortunately, it will be at a much more convenient time for many. We did receive a presentation on City of Yes economic development. It is the same one. Well, it's basically the same one that we already saw, but to the extent that anyone missed the presentation to CB2, the advantage is that the borough president's office will upload it faster. So if you want to see it, you are more likely to see it first on their YouTube channel versus ours. We happy to say both of our proposals for planning fellows from the city of Fund for the City of New York. Thank you. Were accepted. We received 2 fellows. They have already started. The chairs who put those proposals forward can talk more in detail, but I bring them up because one of them, the landmarks one, is a proposal that we have tried to have funded for several years and were unsuccessful in doing so, but are now seeing this project brought into fruition because of this sort of creative alternative route to making it happen. There are still applications being accepted for the community facility space in the Paulson Building at NYU. The process of reviewing applicants has started. So far, there have been applications reviewed by one group supports artists using new technology. Another one is a theater company, and the third provides education and workforce development for women, particularly immigrant women. But the application window is still open and it will be till April. So if anyone has ideas or is considering groups that might be interested in the space, it's the only unfortunate thing is that it is rather small. It's only 750 square feet. But please reach out. There is an application online that's available, and if you need assistance, we certainly will help you. What else is there? Not much. We will let you know it is that time of year where we start planning a holiday party. As has become our practice, this will be an unofficial event. However, I would love to get any additional suggestions that anyone has for locales. Hopefully we'll make a decision in the next few days and hope everyone will join us. Lastly, as you can see, this is in-person only meeting. I will hope that everyone provides feedback, how they feel about this experience, so that we can make the most informed judgment on whether or not we resume using hybrid. Sadly, we have had some serious technical issues. Our resources are limited and we want to do right. We want to make the best choice. Unfortunately, there is no perfect answer and there's always some compromise. But unless you tell us, we're kind of in the dark. Yes? Cormac is asking if you need to do this formally in writing, or you can just ask, you can just approach me or, and give us your feedback. I don't require you to do that. Whatever you're most comfortable with, I just want to hear some candid opinions, and remember that what works for you doesn't necessarily work for your fellow board members. The positives that we realize from this experience come at the cost of losing other opportunities. So I have been trying to get a clearer answer if there's any planned changes. Right now, it's very nebulous. No one will sort of go on record saying that there is some talk of trying to, exempt us from the quorum requirement, which is the real sticking point, and leaves us in this sort of in-between mode. But if the law doesn't change, hybrid will sunset next year, middle of next year anyway. So if there are no, oh yeah, please.
Yeah, I'd like to ask, especially as we keep going back and forth between doing hybrid or making a decision on whether we're going to be in person, that we officially vote on at exec and get like 5 months of calendars published so that people can plan their lives around when our meetings are. So that way, if there's an incremental change, it's just, I know that we've done a really great job of looking at the forecasting in exec, but we've really got to publish these and get these on so people can make their travel plans in general and just plan their lives, knowing that we will have to, where this goes at least, till I guess when this is up is in June. If we could just get those published, we know when certain days are and holidays and school holidays, and I just think it would be great if we could just make a real effort. I know exact is not meeting in December, but if in January, if we can just get 5 months published, voted on, so that we can move forward effectively.
Thank you. Good advice, Walter. We will definitely do our best to try to make that happen. It is in everybody's interest, obviously. That's the end of my report, Mark.
Thanks. And picking up on Valerie's thing, we actually do have the whole year mapped out. We just need to vote on it and make sure that it works for everybody. So we're pleased to do that from the office standpoint and happy to work with you to make sure that happens. A lot of what I was going to report on, you've already heard. So of course I'll say it again. No. But I did want to make sure, I'm not sure I heard this one, encouraging everybody, not just the board, to speak or testify at the Dining Out NYC Rules hearing. It is virtual, it's online. It's on the DOT website. It's not the city. And it's Monday, the 11/20. It starts at 10, and I'm going to predict it's not going to end before lunch. Let me see. City of Yes, I want to make sure I highlight that there is an extra addition to your calendar with a presentation by a consultant that the Land Use Committee has engaged. George Janes may be a familiar name to some of you folks who have been working with other planning initiatives. So that's a call out to you to mark your calendars. We are continuing to work with the Village Alliance and their quality of life meetings with a lot of great representation from city agencies, from our electeds, the all-star team that's in front of me right here. And we're grateful for that, trying to find solutions for a pernicious problem. Also, on the score of pernicious problems, we're continuing to monitor through the office the efforts to enforce rule in Washington Square Park. As you may know, the Manhattan Borough Commissioner for the Parks Department got traded away to the Department of Sanitation in the Bronx. Anthony Perez had a terrific esprit de corps with him. And so that's a real loss for our parks and for Manhattan. I think we're owed draft picks at least. And so the efforts to move that conversation forward probably should wait until his permanent replacement is scheduled. But we will continue to monitor that and make sure the board is up to speed on what comes of that. We already talked about Manhattan Borough President trainings. I'm continuing to look for venues. Please give me any contact information for a venue of your choice, and I'll do my best to chase it down. And the last thing is that a small item of jewelry was left in the conference room at a meeting sometime in October. It probably has more sentimental than intrinsic value, but it's also the kind of item of jewelry that someone would not want to go home without. So if that applies to you, please give me a call. Thanks.
Well, thank you for your efforts. What kind of venues are you looking for? When you say be capable for hybrid meetings, or we're talking about in person only, perhaps we can assist you if we had a better idea of what you're looking for.
Thanks for that question. They need to be ADA accessible. They do not necessarily need to have Wi-Fi and so forth. Although the ability, I can bring Wi-Fi that will serve the board's needs. It won't always serve the needs of the people in the audience like tonight. So that's a mixed bag, but at a minimum, we can get the meeting off the ground if it is hybrid. Other questions? Yeah. Frederica, I'll just repeat it. I'll repeat the question. Go ahead. My understanding is that it will be hybrid.
Yeah.
The question was whether it would be hybrid, and the answer is yes. The question is whether this meeting will be an official meeting that requires a quorum in person. I don't know the answer to that.
I think it probably does. Yeah, that one is going to require a quorum because we're going to be discussing the substance of what he presents to us.
There's an extra meeting added to the calendar on Monday, the 27th of November, when
which there'll be a discussion of city of yes for economic opportunity. I'm sorry, I didn't add that qualification. And George James has been retained by the committee and the board to be a consultant for that matter. Thanks. Monday, November 27th.
Do you explain the process of how we're gonna cover?
You should look at the version, it may not be on there, but it was on the calendar. I'm sorry, any other questions? Did you have any other questions for Mark? Okay. So that is the end of the public session, and we will now take we're now entering business session, so we will now take, do you have you're waving your hand. Do you have another question? Oh, okay. So then we will take a vote to a roll call attendance.
Hi, can you hear? Okay. All right. Okay. I'm only gonna do last names now.
Yeah, no, keep that one.
Yeah, okay. All right, Susanna Aaron. Oh, sorry. Asqui. Ganesh. Berger. Keenberger, sorry. Okay. Okay. Booth. Bordenaro. Brandt. I'm here. Amy Brenna. Tecapolo.
Here.
Chattree.
We too stepped out.
All right, I'll come back to her. Valerie De La Rosa. Here. Chris Dignas. Yeah, I saw. Sorry. Mark Fitzgerald. Stella Fitzgerald. Flynn.
Yeah.
Gamey. Gammy, I'm sorry. Gruber. I see him. Horky. Okay. Kent. Kessler. Kylie. Conars. Valeria. Levine. Okay. Metzger. Okay. Olson. Hape. Donna Raftery, is she here?
Yes.
Okay. Rakoff.
Here.
Riccobono.
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
Sands.
Here.
Secunda. Siegel. Smith. Emma Smith, sorry. Dr. Shirley Smith. Spence, he didn't come, right? Excuse me, Wittenberg.
Here.
Wong.
Here.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to standing committee reports. Let's start with landmarks.
Did we approve the
I'm sorry? Oh, my mistake. Yes, I need a motion to approve the October minutes. Actually, I should have asked, are there any changes or questions or anything about them that anyone wants to bring up before I ask for a motion to approve? Seeing none, then, okay, motion to approve, second? And all in favor? Thank you. Okay, now we can go to landmarks. I'm going based on the order of the one in front of me. Let's start with. Okay, I'm sorry, my copy. Mara, you're welcome to go first. Doesn't. Apparently there are multiple versions, but trust me, you're all going to come up and report. Katie, one second. No, apparently there is no.
People Wi-Fi from seven. Oh, I'm sorry, no, Canvas is not on there. It's not on there.
They're going to have to read them out to you, and we're going to have to determine whether or not you're comfortable based on what's presented, whether or not you're going to vote on it.
Okay, we had 6 applications to review at Landmarks, plus there was one layover. A quorum was not present. Our first application was 588 Broadway. The application is to install a flag and flagpole. The resolution it states approval of the flag as presented, provided that its hardware is secured into mortar joints, does not disturb the fabric of the building, and that it is found by the commission to conform to all applicable regulations concerning advertising flags in the district and for this building. This was a fairly boilerplate kind of flag application. Also, B, that provided that the commission verifies that there is no permit for this installation. This needs to be clarified, point of clarification, that this should say that there is no permit for the temporary flower installation. So provided that the commission verifies that there is no permit for the temporary flower installation, a violation be issued and a proper permit is sought or it is removed forthwith. The next one was laid over. Then we go to 101-111 West 10th Street. The application is to replace storefronts with designs that do not conform to Landmarks approved master plan. The situation here was a bit of an odd one. A master plan was approved in 1996 by Landmarks for this stretch of storefronts. It was never really adhered to, resulting in kind of a jumble of storefronts that do not actually comply with many Landmarks regulations and that do not apply with the approved master plan. So the applicant presented a very coherent application with a great many relevant precedents of a sort of more individuated kind of look for these storefronts. Therefore, be it resolved that CB2 Manhattan recommends approval of the vacating of the master plan currently in force and approval of the historic restoration of the facades, including windows, cornice, and maintaining the distinct separation of several stores. The next one was 16 Jones Street, which is Greenwich House Pottery. The application is to construct a new rooftop addition and expand the existing cellar by excavating and recovering the courtyard. The whereas states that we recommend approval of the rooftop addition, approval of the excavation, provided that the commission verifies the engineering reports concerning safety and underpinning, and that care is taken to preserve the integrity of the subject property and the neighboring properties. Again, this is standard anytime there's excavation. We want to make sure that the commission has approved that all the engineering reports that are necessary to ensure the safety of historic structures are in place. And that was B, and C, that any development of the rooftop space on the back building be undertaken with thoughtful consideration of its impact on adjacent neighborhood residents and property owners and with transparent communication with them. Next one is 34 Perry Street. The application is to install planter boxes at the front facade windowsills, modify the rear facade windows, reconstruct the existing rear yard addition, and install railings and mechanical units on the roof. Now, therefore, be it resolved that CB2 Manhattan recommends approval of the front window boxes, provided they are secured into mortar joints and do not disturb historic fabric, and approval of the demolition of the existing rear extension, and approval of the sensitive design of the new extension, which does not compromise the historic building's integrity and lies well within the donut. The next one, 675 Hudson Street, is an application to restore the facade modify the ground floor openings and install new storefront infill, to replace the windows, install painted signage, enlarge an existing elevator bulkhead, and install new rooftop mechanical units. This application had a lot of moving parts. And the resolution is a recommendation for approval of the masonry restoration, approval of the windows above the ground floor, approval of the signage at the ground floor, approval of the reproduced cornice, the mechanical equipment, and the elevator bulkhead, and denial of the modern steel ground floor window systems and the building entrance canopies as being without historic reference. And denial of the removal of piers in historic material to enlarge the west facade show windows, which unacceptably compromise the integrity of the otherwise intact historic design of the building. And denial of the painted sign bands as asserting themselves in a way that transforms the building into a background for sign bands and transforms the vertical expression of the facades to a horizontal expression of alternating sign bands between the windows of each story. We further ask that if a modified version of the proposed sign bands is proposed, that it comes before CB2 Manhattan for a public hearing. This was kind of an interesting one in that, first of all, it's an extremely important building. It's kind of the gateway to the Gansevoort district. The building dates from the mid-19th century when it was a manufacturing warehouse. It at that point did not have the triangular footprint that it has now. It was only part of that. The triangular piece was added sometime in the intervening 20, 30, or 40 years. It was a little bit unclear, which actually changed the building tremendously. And what was interesting is that the application, and originally in the 1855 iteration, there were signs that no longer exist, nor do they exist in any kind of ghosty iteration. There were, in the spandrels between the floors, there was massive horizontal building-wide signage. So the applicant referenced some signage that existed for a relatively brief period of time in the building's history in order to justify its request for some extremely aggressive signage, unlike other signage that we see in this district, while simultaneously justifying honoring this big ask using its own historic reference. They threw the same history out the window in their request to blow out the ground floor facade, particularly on one side, the Gansevoort district side, citing some contemporary references. So it was an extremely cherry-picked application in terms of when history mattered and when history didn't matter. And so the inconsistency was something that we, took very seriously. So that is that one. And then last but not least, 302 West 13th Street, the application is to convert a 3-family residence to a single-family residence, replace and modify the windows on the facades, expand the bulkhead and other facade modifications. The resolution states that we recommend approval of the facade restoration apart from the ghost sign and approval of the lengthening of the window to their original height and the addition of the historic cornice. This was a situation where there actually is a ghost sign that was revealed as they explored the facade of their building and took off some odd 1950s metal panels that had been added. These didn't what one was, nor did the architect. And of course, in this district, we are So we have a little back and forth on the value ghost sign. So when we say that we're approving facade apart from ghost sign, what that means is that we're not approving the removal of the ghost sign, which is stated in whereas in the denial of removal of ghost sign is an important reference to the
Like an additional floor, it's less than that, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they're typically stepped back so that they cannot be seen from a public thoroughfare. There's no stipulation about which public thoroughfare. It's any public thoroughfare from which it might be visible.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions or not? If there is no objection, we will vote on these as a block. There's number 1 and then 3 through 7. See if there's, yes. Yes, just tell me which ones you want to vote. We will record that. And when we take the vote, you will just then tell me which ones you want. So if there is no objection to voting on these, I will ask for all those in favor of 1 and numbers 3 through 7. Are you, those in favor? Those against? Any abstentions? Okay. Okay, and any recusals? Okay, great, thank you. So next, what do we have? Who's next? Parks is next on my list. I'm sorry if your lists are different, I'm just gonna follow mine, but we'll get to you all in the end.
Well, this is an unfortunate story there in the Salvador Playground, which is at Spring and Mulberry Streets. There was a mini rock climbing wall that was installed in 2018. And then after that, a new condo building was built. It's called 75 Kenmare. Again, constructed after the wall was installed and opened, and this new building had designs where the windows, but the park and people could climb, kids could climb the wall and climb onto the windowsill. So it was unsafe. It was, they could peer in. So the building asked that the Parks Department address this, and the Parks Department tried. There was no way to resolve the issue or make it safe. And so they decided that it had to be taken down in our committee, and the community were upset about this. So we created this resolution where we said that therefore be it resolved that Manhattan Community Board 2 understands that the Parks Department has been given no choice but to demolish the climbing wall, but feels that this amenity, which our community supported, scoped, advocated for, and waited for 5 years, should not have to be demolished to accommodate a property owner that was aware of this public structure before it chose to design of its private building. And 2, strongly recommends that the building owners pay to address this slight to our community by providing funding, either to build a structure that prevents climbing to the top of the wall, or to relocate the wall to another suitable location in our district, or at a minimum, make an equivalent donation to the Parks Department.
Any questions? Yes, Rocio.
There's a photo.
Okay, we've got a microphone.
Yeah.
State of the current status of the lawsuit. Can you all hear me without the microphone?
Please, no, for our recording purposes.
This is a legal matter. The resolution does not state the current status of the lawsuit, except that the Department of Parks has taken the position to demolish the climbing wall, probably for safety concerns of the people climbing the wall and the residents of the building. CB2 is demanding the building owners to provide funding to prevent climbing to the top of the wall, relocate the wall to another suitable location, or make a donation to the Parks Department. My question is, was there an engineer, an architect, an appraisal consulted to see if this is a reasonable ask to prevent climbing to the top of the wall, or relocating the wall, or finding out the price of making these donations? This reminds me of many instances when a building is built next to or near an established business, and read my notes. And the board demands that the pre-existing business change its methods of operation to satisfy the needs of the building's residents. Why is this? Why should the building owner incur any expenses when the building owners want to make sure that climbers and building residents are safe? But it's up to the Parks Department to make it safe for everyone. The future lawsuits will be numerous. And I'm sorry to interrupt you. Please don't, if you have a question, just. I did ask my question and I'm making comments about about this. I think we're able to ask questions and I think we're able to make comments.
I didn't say you were able to not make comments, but maybe it would be more effective if you first allowed him to answer the question.
Okay, I'm almost done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So future losses would be numerous and danger to the climbers and residents of the building could be fatal. I will vote against this resolution as written.
Okay.
Lois.
Yes. I'd like to. It's not about that.
I'd like to compliment the committee about the William Hassamonti ball field. And I'm reading it very specifically because my family uses it a lot. And I'm very happy to see that the controversy with pickleball courts and then the free, what we called unstructured play, is not very specific, and that kids and adults can play all these activities. But so that's great.
Yeah.
So there's no argument, because there's always an argument with pickleball and then the kids with their scooters and their rollerblading and all. The question is, could you explain, there is just one grandfathered, and I question that word, but there is just one grandfathered permit for the roller hockey. Could you explain that, please?
Sure. Now you're aware that those notes are not tied to the resolution, right? Now you're aware that the notes about Hassanante have nothing to do with the resolution.
It's a point of information.
Okay, do we vote on the resolution first, or do we talk about?
Does anybody have anything more questions on the resolution? Yes, Jean.
I just want to clarify in terms of that climbing wall, it was always part of the design. It took over a decade of work to get that park, maybe even more, and lots of money. And these climbing walls are, it's only a one-sided climbing wall. There's a two-sided one in Hudson River Park. It's not very tall. It's not dangerous. So I'm not sure what the biggest worry is that
kids will climb to the top of the wall and look into someone's private apartment, and maybe they should have thought about that before they designed a window overlooking the park 10 feet above the ground. So I fully support this resolution, and I hope that we're able to move it to another wall. Thanks.
Yeah, so we're back to the resolution now. Thank you. There's a photo that is in the notes, if you want. The climbing wall is covered in the photo by a wooden structure that can't be maintained, so. It's on the right side. It's closest to the
Yes, Shirley.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Jim said, and it is in the resolution that the climbing wall was pre-existent to the building only.
Any other questions or comments on the resolution?
I would just.
Everything you, yeah,
We
please.
did not say demanded. You mentioned some in your, we didn't demand, we strongly recommend. We chose those words carefully. So that's it on the resolution.
Yes, Rocio.
Yeah.
And I just gave her the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
I never did it personally, I have to say.
Any, Lois, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So all those activities.
Mhm.
So what does that mean?
There, so.
What?
Hmm.
So, what does that mean that?
Yeah. So there was a pickup game of roller hockey played there, I think since the 70s, I think they said, and it had gotten very tough to play because of the cracks in there. It was hard to skate. And but it was really the only place that people played, and there was a fondness within the Parks Department, within the community for that game. And so they said, well, they would carve out a time, I believe it's Saturday mornings, for those guys to come back and play. That was the only one.
Okay.
Let's see how the rest of it goes. I mean, they know that if there are fights or. It's like in Congress, yeah, they might have to do that. But,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Skateboard, et cetera. Is that skateboarding included in the?
I don't know, we didn't discuss that. Yeah, we didn't discuss that. I don't think that they've been outlawed there.
Okay. Thank you, Lois.
You're welcome.
Okay, if there's nothing else on the resolution, I will ask for a vote. There's no objection. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. Any, yes, we have Rocio as no. Any abstentions or recusal? You're. Okay, De La Rosa is abstaining. And so the resolution passes. And next would be street activities.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Good to see everybody. Thank you. Thank you. So we had a great meeting this month. We had six street activity resolutions, one street activity renewal, and then one additional resolution. For the street activity resolutions, we were unanimous approve of everyone that showed up to the meeting. So I'll go through those quickly. There were a few there was a no-show and there was a layover. Number one, American Eagle event. This is already passed November 11th. That was a denied unanimous no-show. Number two, also November 11th already happened, MPA BOA Speaker Gala, Broadway between Grant and Howard, partial sidewalk closure. That was a unanimous approve. Number three, November 13th, Center for Art and Research and Alliances, Car Benefit Gala, West 13th between Greenwich and 7th Ave.
That's a partial sidewalk and curb lane. That was unanimous approved. Number 4, we have November 24th to 25th, holiday event and coffee truck at JBL store. This is their second year doing it, curb lane only. That was unanimous approved. Sorry, that's East Houston between Broadway and Crosby. Number 5, November 25th, American Express Small Business Saturday. That's Gansevoort Plaza. That was unanimous approved. And then number 6, not till December 21st, Winter Solstice event, Astor Place Plaza. That's being laid over to next month. Unanimous approved. Number 7, FYI renewal. This is the holiday lights at Gansevoort Plaza. That was unanimous approved. Number 8 is interesting. So there's an upcoming rules hearing for CECM. That's the Citywide Event Coordination and Management Office, which is a mayor's office. SAPO is a sub-office of that. There's a hearing coming up Monday, the 20th. So if you're planning on going to the open restaurants one, this is kind of the appetizer before that, happening right before, if you're interested. There's sort of 3 sets of rules changes, just to very briefly outline. There was a temporary open culture program that was put in place during COVID that's now rolling off. So the rules are changing to allow a new type of street event called an open culture event. Basically, this is just like any kind of regular street event, except that it's held by a cultural institution, and everything is free of charge and open to the public. Basically, the main difference being you're going to have to pay a lot less to do that event. It's only a $15, $15 or $25, sorry, $25 processing fee, so substantially less than commercial street events would pay. That's a pretty straightforward rules change, I think, but it is now a new type of street event that falls in the SAPO rules. The second set of rules changes has to do with an also new type of event called an open street event. So this is specifically outlining rules now for a street event that's happening on an open street, which, as we know now, is a closed street. That is what this is doing. It's interesting. It's going to change those events to be a little bit more like plaza events are now. So if you're familiar with the plaza event structure, other than the community board review for plaza events, you actually have the plaza partner that is involved in that review process as well, and actually can issue a recommendation on those events. What this is proposing is that for open street events, you actually get involved, the open street sponsor, and they can actually issue a recommendation on that event. If it's a deny, then there's a chance to appeal, but it is involving another entity in that process. And the idea being that these open streets were established mainly for sort of passive use by neighbors in the community. And I think there's a concern that they over time could just become overtaken much time, kind of the issue that we've actually seen with some of the plazas. So I think the idea is to sort of put another layer in there. And we had a few concerns with it, which I'll outline in a second. But I think we were overall supportive of that idea. And then the last one is just a sort of renewal of a rules change that they've been doing well, not really rules change, but a rule they've been implementing every year, which is a continued moratorium on new multi-block street fairs. This has been in place for a while. These are the, fairs that we see that are pretty generic, that take up multiple blocks. Kind of the same thing at every fair, nothing super local or unique about them. And those take up a lot of NYPD resources. And so they've had this moratorium for a while, and they're just proposing to extend it.
So, for example, for Centenaro, that would not count because it's grandfathered.
Yes, correct. And that's not really the type of fair I think that we had an issue with, right? It's the ones with like the same 20 vendors that you see everywhere across the city. Yeah.
I see some hands up. Yes, Janine. Prior non-conforming use. Thank you.
Yes. Oh.
You have to repeat the question.
Oh, he's asking if the number 1 event that didn't show that we denied still did the event. We have to check with, I don't know. We have to maybe check with some folks on the block. Maybe if Pete's here, we could ask him, but I don't see him. Well, I have to read, sorry, I have to read the resos. I was just giving background. I was just giving background to the resos, so sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. Is that better? Okay.
So that's just the background. So let me read out the resos, the therefores on that last reso. Therefore, so there's three therefores, one, two, for each of those three categories of rules changes that I called out. Therefore, be it resolved that with regard to the rules changes regarding relating to open culture events, CB2 Manhattan proposes that the language be tweaked to ensure that no items may be sold at such events, because it was a bit unclear. And that the deadline for submission of such events to SAPO be extended to 30 days before the event rather than 15 days, which would, by the way, just actually allow us to review them and hear them. The second, therefore, be it further resolved that with regard to the rules changes relating to open street events, CB2 Manhattan proposes that CECM include additional language to provide guidance around how to manage potential conflicts of interest between open street partners and applicants for open street events. And sort of just the quick aside about why we said that is, I think there are certain open street events that are sponsored by businesses. So the idea of it could be a conflict if, say, a different business tried to hold an event on that open street. So we want to manage that, and then therefore be it finally resolved that CB2 Manhattan supports the moratorium on multi-block street fairs and would further support a study of existing multi-block fairs already in place. We're not saying they have to necessarily cancel out existing fairs, but just to get a sense of kind of how much time and space and resources are being taken up.
Okay, any questions? Anyone want to call any of these out? Amy? Microphone, please.
I have a microphone and I can't use it. I just want to confirm we didn't have quorum at the meeting. Is that correct?
We had 6 out of 11 person committee.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Were there any other hands I missed? Okay, seeing none, if there's no objection, we have numbers 1 through 6 that are new applications. Number 7 is a renewal, and number 8 is in response to the changes proposed in the rules. If there's no objection, let's vote them as a block. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, wait, please, let's wait until I call for it. Okay. Ryder, you will call it no on 8. Okay. And any abstentions? We have De La Rosa abstaining on all? On all. Yes. Yes. Okay, numbers 5 and 7. It's not membership on board of the picking bid. Okay. Yes, question.
At the end of the meeting, there was a discussion of splitting off the resiliency part of this committee to a working group. Has there been any progress on that?
I've been approached about that, so I don't know where that stands.
So I'm sorry if I'm stealing your thunder.
Okay, no, if you want to talk about it, we'll talk about it, absolutely.
Okay, I think we will be approaching you at some point. Thank you.
I've been forewarned. Yes, Valerie.
So we have 2 standing committees that are covering, one has resiliency and one has waterfront, right?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to point that out.
Yes, Cormac.
For example, use myself as number 6 because I'm on board with it.
Okay. Yes, Michael. Well, that he sits on the board of the Alliance as an officer, that's why he would recuse. The fact that there's no financial benefit is not in the case of a group of that nature. When you sit on the board, you have authority, you have a decision-making power, and that's why you're supposed to recuse yourself. If you sit on the board of an entity and you have voting power and decision-making authority, you're supposed to recuse yourself, even if you are not receiving financial, even if you're not compensated in any way. Okay, so if there's nothing else on the street activities, let's move to traffic and transportation. Oh, and I was asked to point out that the outdoor dining resolution is in everybody's inbox, so please, if you can. Well, if you're able to, I guess, have your own hotspot, then you can see it. I know, it's.
How do you get this turned?
Okay. Yeah, right.
There I go. Okay. So we had four
I'm
resolutions.
sorry, because there's something factual, because we're in business session. We cannot hear you, unfortunately.
Getting maybe a copy of that too, because we would like to take the community boards. Yeah.
Okay, we will get you a copy of it. This is just a point of information. Just so he can have a copy. We'll distribute it, don't worry. Sure, please.
Ready? Okay.
Yeah.
The Traffic and Transportation Committee had four resolutions. They all were in reference to bills by Senator Holman Siegel about addressing the safety and accountability of several of the I just forgot what's the name of it. I'll just say e-vehicles, mopeds, just to as a start, really, and hoping that other resolutions and bills will come after that. So the first one is, and unanimous vote, all in favor, was in support of the New York State Senate Bill S-7587, requiring registration and licensure of e-bikes used for commercial purposes and holding delivery platforms responsible for any violations with further recommendations. And resolved that a committee board to Manhattan supports New York State Senate Bill S-7587 as a first step to establishing street safety and effective regulation for new mobility modes. In this case, to protect pedestrians and other street users from the danger posed by errant e-bike delivery riders. We recognize that further work is being done to fine-tune the bill to increase its effectiveness and encourage its development of procedures to safeguard e-bike delivery jobs and make the costs that are affordable in complying with new safety measures, such as providing affordable registration fees that are aligned with the cost of the average e-bike. Further, strongly support having a requirement incorporated along with those for registration and licensing for e-bike delivery workers to attend classes on the rules of the road and to provide for these classes not only in English, but in other languages predominantly used by the e-bike delivery workers. And finally, urge that quick attention be given to completing whatever amendments are considered necessary to strengthen this bill and to moving it to be heard as soon as possible and quickly passed into law. Okay, next one, a resolution in support of State Senate Bill S-6760, requiring minimum insurance thresholds for third-party food delivery services. And resolve that CB2 supports New York State Senate Bill S-6760 and urges that it be reviewed as quickly as possible and swiftly passed to become law. 3, support of State Senate Bill S-561, increasing the penalties for hit and runs perpetrated by users of e-bikes and scooters. Resolve, CB2 supports New York State Senate Bill S-561 and urges that it speedily be calendared for hearings and vote to approve it as a law. And finally, 4th resolution, also in support. This is for State Senate Bill S-7703 in concept with suggestions for modifications. So resolve CB2 supports the concepts put forth by New York State Senate Bill S7703 that in order to acquire and operate a moped, proof of registration and license is needed at the point of purchase. CB2 recommends that provisions be developed requiring that the buyer show proof to the moped dealer that the moped is registered, giving options to accomplish such registrations. For example, by the buyer registering in person at the Department of Motor Vehicles or by using a third party to register before the dealer can release a purchased moped to the buyer. And further, encourage promoting affordable registration fees that are in line with the costs of the average moped. And finally, CB2 looks forward to the further development of requirements in S7703 for ensuring that mopeds are registered and licensed and to its becoming law as soon as possible. And that's it.
Thank you. Okay, we've got a bunch of questions. Let's start with B2. I'll work my way around. We need a microphone, please.
So very simple question. Was there a reason why the first and the last bills were segregated? Why wouldn't you just?
Well, one has to do with mopeds and across the board, whoever uses them. And that's the last one.
Okay.
And the first one doesn't address mopeds at all, but it addresses only bike deliveries.
So
in other words,
okay, so my follow-up question to that is on that first resolution. The egregious behavior is not just by delivery people, it is by ordinary folks who have acquired scooters and mopeds and even bikes that are on the sidewalk.
And that's recognized. And I think that will be an ensuing bill. And I do understand the New York City Council is presenting a bill that has to do with the e-bike violations across the board. Thank you.
Okay, I saw more hands. Okay, Chris.
You're back on. So I know you're addressing specific legislation, but I guess I'm just sort of wondering why you would just propose like function of bike. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Keep the bicycles off the sidewalk. Seems like.
Yeah, that should be something that's done too. In fact, the whole street should really be kind of reconstructed to handle this mix now of different kinds of modes. Okay, I agree, but it's not in the bill.
Ryder, I see Ryder, Scott.
Yeah, my question is related to Chris's, but I think it's a little more, well, I'll just ask it. I wonder why the other Hoyleman Siegel bill about e-bikes wasn't included in this meeting, because I think it would address some concerns like Chris has in Me Too, where, you know, the real reason that bikes, including e-bikes, are not in bike lanes is because there aren't enough bike lanes and there aren't protected bike lanes. So Senator Hoyleman has another bill, which is Senate Bill 3304, which is to create a bike lane camera program for enforcement. So those lanes are more often clear and the bikes can be on them. It feels very related to this set of bills. So I wonder if there was a reason it was excluded or if it can be.
So it wasn't brought to our attention. We'd be happy to address it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be good, you know, over 99% of the over 200 people killed in traffic violence incidents this year were killed by cars, not by bikes. So and there are 19,000 miles of car lanes in the city and only 500 and some protected bike lanes. And the mayor's not meeting his legal requirements to add more. So I think more board attention to the streetscape and infrastructure as opposed to things like registration would be advisable. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm working my way. Okay, Rocio.
You're getting a lot of exercise.
I'm sorry, I don't have a question, but I do have comments. Is that okay?
Of course it is.
Thank you. This proposed bill is putting additional burden on a particular section of the society. This burden should be shared by everyone and anyone who rides not only e-bikes, but any bicycle or moving apparatus as well. The bill does not go far enough to hold all members of the community responsible for following the laws and riding safely. Everyone who rides a bike, e-bike, or any moving apparatus should be held to the same standards. I oppose this bill. I realize my objections would not be politically favorable for the elected officials because a lot of people like to ride bicycles. And I question why they didn't include bicycles. I was present at the meeting, by the way. That's regarding number one. Regarding number two, insurance, bill 6760 requiring insurance thresholds for third-party delivery. What about the other e-bikes and non-motorized bicycle scooters? They too should be required to be insured, not a favorable position to take for an elected official. That's my question. And the last one is, I'm okay with number three. I think it's great. And number four also. So thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank
you. My impression is that this is a start, as I said at the beginning of presenting these, and that there will be follow through. They're not having such an easy time even getting these up for discussion and the vote in the state Senate. So I think the first step is to give our support at least to these, get them going, and then hopefully these other problems will be addressed as well in other bills.
Thank you, Shirley. Are there any other questions or comments on any of these? Is there any objection to voting on them? Seeing none, voting on resolutions 1 through 4, all those in favor? All those opposed, and there may be, okay, we've got okay, Kessler, which one? Please just say which ones. Roberts? Christignus? Okay. That was Christignus, and then Rocio is vote. What's your vote? And yes on 3 and 4. And?
No one on 3, 4. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, there were any abstentions or recuse? I'm sorry, we didn't get everybody. Julian? No on 1 and 2? Anyone else? We did, yes, Carter. Okay, and Matt? Metzger, no on 1 and 2. Is abstentions. And De La Rosa is abstaining on all. And anyone else that didn't call out specifically? Okay, that's that. And let's then turn to SLA. It did pass, yes, I'm sorry. They all 4 passed.
Okay, so SLA 1, we had 22 applications, 11 resolutions, all the decisions were unanimous. HHLP, Union Square Associates, LC, not going to read the other 4 names that are on there. It's a hotel liquor, also known as 132 4th Avenue, That was just a corporate change, so deny unless with stipulations being adhered to, unanimous. Lucia Pizzeria at 301 West Broadway, also known as 375 Canal Street. That's a new restaurant wine at a previously unlicensed location. Deny unless with stipulations being adhered to, unanimous. Serafina to go at 110 University. It's a class change to an on-premise restaurant and a change in method of operation. Deny unless with stipulations being adhered to, unanimous. Broom Hotel Owner LLC, 431 Broom Street. It's a new tavern wine, previously unlicensed location. That was the denial, unanimous. L Pride on behalf of an entity to be determined, 204 Elizabeth Street. It's a new on-premise for a restaurant. That was deny, unanimous. L Pride on behalf of an entity to be determined at 202 Elizabeth Street. It's a new on-premise for a restaurant, previously unlicensed location. That's a deny, unanimous. One Tiger LLC doing business as Tiger South Soho Bar at 1 Howard Street. It's an on-premise restaurant. That's an alteration. And that was done unless with stipulations being adhered to, unanimous. Entity to be formed by Eddie Buckingham doing business as Soso's at 189, 191 Center Street. That's a new on-premise for a restaurant, previously unlicensed location. Deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. That was unanimous. 100 West Houston LLC doing business as Sarah Bass at 100 West Houston. That's an on-premise for a restaurant. It's a transfer. Deny unless with stipulations being adhered to, unanimous. Apex Lifestyle Group LLC at 7 Spring Street, on-premise for a restaurant. That's deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. Also unanimous. And Dragon Pop Manhattan LLC doing business as Shu Long Khan Hot Pot at 22 East 13th Street, on-premise for a restaurant. That's deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. Items 12 through 22 are layovers or withdrawals. Well, it's one sentence. I have it typed up. I try.
Thank you. Yes,
try.
Lucio.
So, okay. The legal use of which one?
Which, number four.
The DOB.
Broom Hotel Owner LLC, 431 Broom Street. What does the DOB say about the legal use of the premises? Do you know?
Yeah, I do know. The legal use of the premises is an art studio.
Could you speak into mic, please?
The legal use of the premises is an art studio.
That's what the DOB says.
That's what the DOB says. Yeah, it's
Thank you.
it's on the certificate of occupancy that way.
Any other questions on any of those items, numbers particularly 1 through 11? Yes, Ryder.
I don't have time. Can you just provide a little more color on 5 and 6, the 2 L Pride and Rebrain Elizabeth Street, that's also close to another one.
It's really confusing. There were a number of buildings there, and without having all the plans right in front of me, but it's like 204 to 210 Elizabeth Street, all was separate, then it got renovated. It's all been combined. The bottom level is now, we just heard an application a couple months ago for like the top floor of 206, 208, 210 for a big restaurant that's going in there. Okay, so part of the application for 204, actually what they're using in part of that goes underneath, the bathrooms are underneath that 208 spot. So it's been a gut renovation of a building split into a bunch of spaces with a courtyard behind it, and
Sorry, this applicant is a combined space, but it's different than the other. So it's not, they're not coming for more.
so you had the one that was a combined space. This applicant and these two applications are actually not combined spaces. But part of this is part of that whole gut renovation. There was a wall between, so it's not combined.
And the denial is because we think this block is now oversaturated.
What we heard from everybody is that just this much, adding this much seating in there, it is really, everybody just felt like they can't handle any more than that, and it's just too much to put in there.
Thank you. Any other questions on any of those items? If there is no objection, we will vote on items 1 through 11 and then 12 through 22 as a block. All those in favor? All right. All those opposed? Lucille, you're opposed on which ones? 4, 5, and 6. Thank you. Any abstentions? Okay. I asked for votes on this one. Yes, as block. Absolutely. Just thank you. That's exactly what I want. Okay, so Metzger is voting, you're voting no on, sorry, no on 5 or abstain on 5? 5 and 6? Okay, 5 and 6, and Kessler? And he's abstaining on 5 and 6. Got it. Are there any others in that block that anyone wants to call out? So there are no more abstentions or recusals. Okay, those items pass. So now we have SLA 2. Yeah, go ahead. Hold on.
I'm not a parliamentarian, so I'm not exactly sure how to do this. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold, but I think I want a table for new business next month. The reports, okay, we're not talking into, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I said I'm not a parliamentarian, so I'm not exactly sure how to do this, but I think I want to table for next month's meeting the reports that came in late that we were not able to read before the meeting. Okay, can I finish why I'm saying this? I'm saying this because the board and the public had no opportunity to read these, reflect on them, ask questions. I'm going to abstain if we do vote on them because I don't feel like I can give an informed vote. I also think that we know that the regulations or rules, and Mark can speak to this better, is they're supposed to be out to the public 24 hours ahead. And I understand that that's not always possible, but I think I think we're doing a disservice to the public. We had people who wanted to give public testimony on one of these resolutions and had to leave because it wasn't ready. I don't think we should be voting on something that was not available.
Okay.
Voting tonight.
The trouble is that we are in a difficult, I totally respect anybody who is uncomfortable should abstain. That is your right. The difficulty is that if we do not move these forward with a vote, it is though we take no action at all. That is you have to deal with it based on your conscience. We are kind of in a tough position. Unfortunately, Dawn was quite ill and worked through her illness in order to produce these.
I'm trying to make clear, I'm not criticizing anyone. I'm not judging anyone. I'm just noting that they came in late. This is not a reflection on any member or their quality of their work. It's just that they came in late.
Absolutely understood. Okay. It wasn't.
Is there I said I'm not a parliamentarian. Do I make a motion to table this until December's full board meeting?
Okay, well, okay, if we have a motion on the floor, then we discuss the motion. We have a second on this motion. Now we're going to have debate on the motion. Yes, Val, okay. Okay, Carter had his hand up first. So let's have Carter talk about it.
So first, I want to thank the hard work of all the board members who worked over the weekend, at nights, and throughout today, last night. And it's really interesting to see people speaking to this who haven't written resolutions and constantly vote against resolutions and don't come to committee meetings and recognize the incredible hard work that people do to communicate this information to everybody. This board 20 years ago wrote 3-sentence resolutions on many items. We now have detailed things about everything. If you are so interested in the topic that you do not want to abstain, but have a position, you should come to the committee meetings. And that's something that I can't express more clearly than that. Having worked and helped
so many people try to get resolutions in on time. And the extensive amount of time that it takes. And also to have a voice from our board on these issues. It's disheartening to hear that the public who can come and speak to their concerns and have that opportunity just don't want to speak. So it's something that I feel pretty strongly about. I think that as we try to move forward onto things, it would be great to have more people participate in writing resolutions and coming to committee meetings so that they can come out in advance. I think you're out of order. Thanks.
Okay, I'm sorry. You know, there's no back and forth. I will acknowledge you. I don't think it was addressed to you. It was not addressed to you. And I do want to, and there are an awful lot of hands up. I'm going to work my way around the room so that we will do this in an organ. Yeah, okay. Okay, because she'll. You've got a mic. Yes.
Thank you. I completely understand what Amy is saying. I get it. I am one of those people who did that this evening. So it is my apology to you. It is not very respectful of your time and your efforts that you put in to review these. And so with that, I understand if you want to abstain, and that's your right. I just ask for you to thoughtfully skim as you can. We had a very, very productive public hearing on outdoor dining. It's more than just what this resolution is. It's a culmination of what the work that every board member has done on weighing in on these resolutions over the last 3 years. It's the knowledge that everyone in this room has contributed to that. So I understand if you want to abstain, that is definitely your right. And I'm sorry I let you down this evening. Thanks.
Surely. Well, I'm saying it's gonna, okay, we're going to follow the microphone for the sake of convenience. Everyone will get it, absolutely. Thank you so much. Amy, I thoroughly agree with you. I do not like the characterization that some of us vote without even reading resolutions. I know that I read every resolution that comes before us, and I cannot vote on something that I haven't read, and I feel it's unconscionable to do that. Because these are businesses that you can either put out of business or allow them to survive in business. So how could you really vote for something that you haven't even read? It's not skimming through, it's going through and understanding what the application is about. So I cannot vote, and I agree thoroughly with what Amy said. And I do appreciate the work that the committee does, because they have a lot of work. And they have 2 resolutions every week. But I cannot vote for something that I haven't read. And my conscience will be bothering me for a long time. Okay, please hand the mic on and we will go. And then we will get it to Katie. Go ahead, Frederica.
I think this is a pretty delicate discussion. So we have 3 resolutions that came in. Basically,
we have 3 groups of resolutions. We have the SLA2.
Yes.
We have the open dining, and we have the cannabis licensing.
Right. And Donna has a great track record. The resolutions are pretty cut and dry. They're easy to read. They're easy to skim. The cannabis one, I didn't actually bring my glasses tonight. But the cannabis one I haven't seen. I don't know. Is it very time sensitive? Okay. I've written a few resolutions, and I've worked for a long time on the open dining. It's been going on for years. It's 34 pages long. I appreciate what Valerie just said, but I have to abstain, but I don't want to abstain. I want to be an active voice here, and I can't be if I get something at 6:30. So
completely understand that. This is,
No, I don't like being told that it's my right to abstain.
but that's a statement of fact.
Right. But I just put in too much work on the community board to not be able to have to contribute a good opinion on something as important as that.
Look, everybody here is a tough spot, and it is that is why you're going to have to decide based on your conscience. Please give it to Katie of what you decide to do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I would appreciate a reading break. I mean, I've been looking at Valerie's resolution. I happen to know I'm an SLA too, so I'm gonna jump ahead, but if I had 15 or 20 quiet minutes now, you think I could get a position? So I would, that's my request, a little time to read.
Do we have time to even consider that? Because we are, I believe I don't know that we have time to consider that literally because we will not have the space.
We are supposed to be out of here at 10. And it's 9 now.
And I will point out, I don't know that I can't say that, well, that might be adequate for you. That wouldn't necessarily be adequate for other people who want to digest this more thoroughly. I can't say that that is a viable alternative at this point, unfortunately. Okay, Zana, please.
Thank you. I want to say that I have enormous trust and respect for Donna, for Mar, for Valerie, and hence I'm going to vote blindly in support of your resolutions. But I do think that delivering a resolution on the day of the at 6:30 is not just a bad situation. It's unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable for the reasons that Amy mentioned, and for reasons that are obvious. It's not okay. And if I feel that abstaining means that I give my vote away, which I won't do. Tabling it means that we don't have a voice in something that is time sensitive. So I think that this is an unhappy occurrence that I don't think should ever be repeated.
Okay, please, next, Janine.
I have written resolutions, so I feel I can say whatever I want on this. And I just wanted to say what I mean. I can say whatever I want anyways. I do want to get that, and so two resolutions, while very last minute, went to the office around 6-ish, and we got them later, but you know, I had the public session to read those. And I appreciate Valerie's hard work, and it's 34 pages and we got it at 8:15. And I actually said earlier in the meeting to who I was sitting with, I can't even read this now. And I have a laptop, I have a phone, I have glasses or contacts in. I have all of the technology available to me, and it's just too much. And I have worked with so many people on this board, and we are volunteers. But when we're working on things, we have deadlines, and it's hard to meet deadlines when you're a volunteer. But I just would encourage us to, if we say we're going to get something, get it done, because this is what happens. We have, people frustrated, justifiably so. Thank you.
More? So, yeah, I want to definitely piggyback on what Janine said about the fact that we are volunteers. And we work in a committee structure so that those committees can make recommendations to the full board. And I would just ask that as a team, we show our other team members, because we don't know what they're doing with. We don't know what their day job demands of them. We don't know if they have kids and don't have help. We don't know if they're ill. Show your other community board members some grace. Offer the chairs and the committee members your trust if there's an instance where this happens. It's happened to me the last 2 months. Cannabis is bananas. We had 77 applications. I would like to ask all of you to help me proximity check, which is an arduous process, every single one of those addresses, because we did it. Took me all day to try to tighten everything up. There were 3 that I'm going to make a motion to push till next month, because just couldn't write them, didn't have the time, didn't have it in me. So I'm begging grace with my apology. And we only have 4 applications for next month, so it should be easier. Next is. I just want to ask for information. Is there a rule of the 24-hour? There is. These are we are responsible for having these available 24 hours before the meeting. That is the standard requirement of, yes. And does it weigh not just us reading it, but the public somehow reading it? It's supposed to be available on yes, 24 hours. Thank you for answering that. Thank you. You can hand that back to Ryder and then Chris.
Yeah, first, just a blanket comment that, thoughts about the board's operations or questions about resolutions, no votes on resolutions, none of those are critiques of the chairs or the committee members. So that's just one thing. And I just want to echo that question because I think there's been potentially not for a focus on these 3 sets of resolutions that came around 6:30, but even the previous version of the package came around 2:15, and 24 hours really is critical. And I think in the same way, Valerie's great point earlier about having a calendar that we can offer many months in advance, I think, it behooves the board to think about structures and processes that will allow us to meet that 24-hour deadline. And so I think it, just applies to all resolutions from all committees, and not just the 3 sets at issue here tonight.
Chris.
Based on what I've been thinking, a good comments could just resume through the CLC and get it in front of everyone and then table it 2. But that's an idea.
Okay, right now, just so everybody knows, there is still a motion. We are discussing, there is a motion on the floor to table. We will have to take a vote on that and clear that. To table this, it was the SLA 2. That is what was actually moved on. I'm sorry, Joe, you did mention, my mistake. That was the motion to table. That's the motion that we will have to vote on after we finish commenting. And we will, and that will be, if we move to do that, that is dispositive, and that would be the end of dealing with those 3 sets because they will not be voted on then. Surely.
I'm not going to talk about the merits or demerits of.
Shirley, please.
Of timeless or non-timely. Simply practically speaking, there are certain deadlines we have with all 3 reports, some of the resolutions. So I would suggest us just addressing the ones that are absolutely needed to be submitted by the deadlines. And then
they're all in that category. Sure. If we do not, am I correct on yours as well?
I thought that Mar just said that some of hers were not.
Okay, we're not speaking on the term. Okay, Cormac.
Hello, so I just want to make a couple of points. First of all, one of the points that Marv was making, I just want to remind everybody when this happens, is that because of the holiday, November is really tight for people writing these resolutions. And unfortunately, this year, those 3 committees SLA usually has a heavy stack, but these committees had very heavy stacks and are on tight deadlines. As Sam said as well, I'd like to say, trust in committees is important. That's why we have committees and we do a structure in committees. I understand Rocio's point. I read all 3 of these while people were reading them from the podium because I'd already read the ones they were reading. But I do think it's important to trust the committees, and when they're up against it and a deadline like this, I don't see, we need to be practical. I agree with Ryder, it's not ideal, and we should be thinking about processes and thinking about how to do with that. But what about the immediate problem tonight? If we do not do this, if we don't vote on these things, we're making the perfect the enemy of the good, because the people who will be penalized are not us, are not people on the board who didn't get their resolutions done in time because of whatever, right? The people who will be penalized will be the community, because these resolutions are passed. People who waiting on the resolutions for cannabis, for restaurants, for open dining. So I just think practically speaking, you know, we will serve the community better and do our jobs if we make the best of a bad situation here. Thank you.
Okay, who has not spoken? David has not spoken, so let me call on him. To shorten debate, that's not my right. Huh? Nobody did, but I'm just mentioning. Would you like to be quiet? Would you want to?
So I totally understand. So trust me. Sessions. Their concerns. It's just. It's 100% sensible.
Yes.
This session because it's a very sensitive. I trust this issue.
Okay, Carter, and then I'll come back to.
The board has already voted on most of the outdoor dining issues in one form or another because they're all board positions. This is not anything new that's in here. This is just a manifestation at the end result of what's in there. We voted on 4 different variations of this over time. There's nothing new. This is just putting it all together in a place, in a manner that matches something that was just released by the city. Only 30 days to comment on it, which are the rules. This is not the outline of the program, which is already passed through legislation. This is just consistent with everything that we've done. It is no different than the liquor license committee reviews all the applications in the same manner. We have a new committee. It is reviewing all these issues in a way that has been discussed at previous meetings, at executive committee meetings. It's been outlined how we're doing this. There are no surprises here. Most people, I'm sure, you can comfortably take whatever positions that you take normally, and you will not be out of bounds with what you do. And so I think that we're making much more of this, but the issue is at the end of the day, is the amount of work. And sometimes people can meet their deadlines, but as Mar said, sometimes you can't, and it comes up to this point. But to say that we're voting on something that is brand new, unexplored, undiscussed, that hasn't been talked about ad nauseum, written about, I think everybody knows their general positions on this matter. And so I think that that's something that we have to take into account. Trusting committees, I understand why people may have an issue with that. I think generally, most people know the issues themselves, what they feel strongly about. And it is not a good thing to abstain, right? If you want to participate, that I will clearly say, but sometimes this does happen. And I say that because having been on the board a long time and watching all the work that people do, it's crushing what you're saying right now to everybody who's here. Donna had 103-degree temperature and I'm talking to her and trying to help her, you know, and you can't help unless you can get other people to help you. Sometimes that's difficult because we're all volunteers. And so I just want to put all this in perspective and encourage all the board members to stand up and help everybody on your committees. I mean, and then this won't happen.
I would
And-
just
and
remind
that's,
everybody, it is now
that's it.
after
Thank you.
9:15. Then you would have to make a motion to. Question. Yeah, you do. Make a motion to call the questions and it's a 2/3 vote. And that is actually, that is I recognized him. It is a procedural matter. I recognize that question. The motion was, is there a second on the motion to call the question? Okay, all those in favor?
Voting on.
There is a motion on the floor to call the question. If we call the question, then we will vote on the matter. Then we have to go back to the motion to table. If that is, then if that is passed, then this ends because there's nothing left for us to vote on. If not, then we then have to proceed to the remaining resolutions that have yet to be discussed. Well, I believe Rocio has spoken, but Matt has not spoken. I'm sorry, then Susan hasn't spoken. Then okay, the people who have not spoken, that I can say. So let Susan speak, and then everybody didn't speak, and then Rich didn't speak.
I'll make this very fast. I think we should be very clear on the fact that this is not a dog ate my homework kind of situation, that the chairs, who all have done huge amounts, heroic amounts of work on their resolutions, have not done this, it is certainly not their top choice to do this. And I really support what Mar said about giving grace to our hardworking, generous, discriminating with their intellect, time and energy here. And I would feel terrible dishonor to throw all of this really hard work out and by doing so, throw away our power representing the members of this community, the citizens of this community.
Please post to people identified who did have their hands up before I recognized that motion, who hadn't spoken. If your hand, Rocio, you did speak. I'm sorry. But you did already speak. But I'm saying is that I'm calling on the people who haven't spoken. No, that's the whole point. I want
to clarify.
Please just hand it to the people who have not spoken. Basically, I'm going to tell you right now, if everybody chooses to keep doing this, there won't be a vote because we will have to leave. If we have to leave, you have constructively ended this without a vote. Okay? So if you have something to say it. Please be brief. We're going to, and then we will move on to those people. We will then we will vote on calling the question. We will vote on the tabling and we will move it forward.
I will make it brief. Speaking just to the open restaurants, outdoor dining resolution, I strongly do not think that we should table it. We do not have many days left to comment. And I think it would be embarrassing for the committee or for the community board to not have a position on the proposed rules from DOT, considering our boards and our district's location in respect to open restaurants throughout New York City. We all know, just walking around our district, how much we are impacted by outdoor dining. And for our committee board to not take a position and not submit our recommendations, which Carter said have all been discussed for a long time, it would be embarrassing and disrespectful.
Please,
Yeah.
we have two people left. And because we don't have time, I mean, is it more important for you to say what other people are saying? Or are you going to allow us to finish the meeting?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I just want to add 5 seconds to that. I agree with all the comments that have been said about Grace. I think we need to have trust in people. I think we should vote to not table all of these, and then each person can vote in accordance with their conscience as we vote on each issue.
Thank you. No, Lucia, you've already spoken, and the one person who has not spoken is Matt, which is why I'm going to recognize him, and then we're going to call the question. We're going to.
So
She did speak. Please go ahead.
I totally understand the idea of giving grace, and the amount of things that I have handed in late and not done is incredible. And you get infinite grace. You just don't get my vote, right? Like there are, I know, but that's why, but the idea that this is an ad hominem attack at the people who wrote these.
Not an attack. Please. I apologize, but I want to actually get to the substance of everything. That's why.
No, I totally know that, but there were ad hominem attacks that were leveled, and like, it's not about that, right? Like, it's just that I want to read the things that I vote on.
Okay,
Right.
okay. Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor?
I would ask for a roll call vote, which is.
You did ask for.
Yes.
Okay, he wants a roll call vote on calling the question.
For calling the question?
Yeah, actually you can. Well, Matt made the call. Okay. Are you insisting on a roll call vote? All those in favor of calling the question? All those opposed? And it passes. Now we're going to vote on tabling it. Okay, so you're not, I'm sorry, you're not. Okay, so now we're voting to table all 3 of these sets of resolutions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and all those opposed? Well, we will take down the no's, but it does pass, so we will not be tabling them. We will be voting on them.
Okay, the no's,
Okay.
wait,
But we do need to take that in.
okay, so the no's are Dignas, Metzger, Kessler. You're the yes.
They're the
yeah.
yeses on table.
Yes, yeah, Amy. Anybody else? Garcia,
Roberts.
Anybody else?
You got Sands?
I got Roberts, Brenna, Kessler, Metzger, Dignas. That it? Okay.
Okay. You can separate your vote on that if you want to. Okay, we are back to Donna's presentation of SLA2.
Okay, here we go. All right, so we had 18 applications, 11 resolutions, 1 unrelated to liquor license. Zimmy's New York LLC, 72 Bedford, on premise for a restaurant. They had come last month. It's the old Costa space. And they went back to talk to the neighbors. They returned this month. That's denial unless with stipulations being adhered to. I just want to say that the local block association, since people didn't have a chance to read it, I humbly apologize for that. Local block association met with them, and residents that live nearby, all of whom had both written letters opposing the application last month, wrote letters in favor of the application this month, and were very pleased with reaching out.
So that's how that one went. Chrome Flats, 366 West 12th Street, also known as 767 Washington Street, on premise for a restaurant. This is the old Tortilla Flats place. They also came last month, met with the residents, came back again this month. That resident meeting did not go as well, but the committee voted deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. 93 Greenwich LLC, doing business as Shea Stanley, 9395 Greenwich Avenue. This is an on-premise restaurant. It's an alteration. They are joining with the small store, which was a lovely coffee shop next door, which they also said was a lovely coffee shop. So they're expanding. They have not yet opened. Deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. Sedona Club at 39 Clarkson Street. This is a 6th floor rooftop. It's a private members club, previously unlicensed. They also came 2 months, did a lot of work with lawyers and the Printing House Condo Association. They have a stipulation agreement signed with them and with us that incorporates their stipulation agreement, denying unless with stipulations being adhered to, unanimous. Parcel 522 Hudson Street. That's a new tavern wine in a previously unlicensed location. That one was a deny resolution, and I think if you do see the packet, the vote is left out of there, but it was 6-0 unanimous. Super Rich New York Corp, 266th Avenue, on premise for a restaurant. That was a deny unless with stipulations being adhered to. And then we have some that were the appearance were waived. So thank you very much for letting me do this tonight, because I would really hate to disappoint those people because it's really important for them. 142 Carriage House at 142 West 10th Street. This is a class change for an on-premise restaurant. Please read the resolution. It's basically, we did this one last month as new business. They came in November 2021 as an on-premise. They backlog SLA, restaurant wine 2022. They were still screwed up. So last month you all unanimously approved them for the restaurant wine. They signed the stipulations. SLA got the resolution. They now have their liquor license in plan, and now they are applying for the class change for the class that they originally applied for the on-premise restaurant, and have signed the stipulations for that. So that was a deny unless with stipulations. West 14th Tavern Corps, entity to be formed by John Cotillo, 234 West 14th Street, OP Tavern. They told us they had secured in their formal name now, 14th Corp, stipulations. We have them resigned with the name. Take Me to the River, 22 LLC, doing business next door, 22 Greenwich Avenue. That was just to re-notify to include the temporary tow permit. Deny unless with stipulations. We didn't have them re-sign anything. Everything was exactly the same. And Compass Group, Inc., which is the parent company of restaurant associations, floors 1 through 4, 6, 9, and 12 at 550 Washington Street is the OP for the catering facility. In the Google building, I forget when they came to us earlier this year anyway. This was just a re-notification to change the name to the Compass Group, the parent company, instead of restaurant associations. Appearance was waived, and that was a denial list with stipulations. And then we had new business. Al Farstein came back to just let us know that he supplied materials at the city council hearing about the bill 0160-2022. And they are modifying that bill. It's sitting in committee. He's just urging us so anyway, I wrote it, therefore be it resolved, the Community Board 2 Manhattan, the Community Board 2 Manhattan remains deeply concerned about these proposed changes to the New York City Noise Code, and would urge New York City Council to oppose this bill unless the recommendations of Mr. Firestone have been incorporated into the bill. Intro 0160-2022 in their entirety, deny unless with stipulations. And I don't know what's actually happening if that bill is moving forward. Items 12 to 18 are layovers or withdrawals, and that does it. So I hope I gave you a little information to feel a little bit comfortable with some of these at least. That's it.
Oh, come on. Oh, are you kidding me, Matt? No, come on. No, 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 no.
Basically, you're making.
He's basically stalwarting the whole thing. That's what he's.
It's not workable. It's not.
That's not.
To everybody. Guys, can we just?
I can do it. Okay, I'm. Okay. Okay, let's go. Okay, I just want to say, I didn't ask for this, okay? Aaron,
She opened the door.
Aaron? Yes. Bennett. Bennett, no.
Well,
Yes.
I'm sorry, but Matt Metzger asked for a roll call vote on each one. It is his right to do that.
Keenberger,
So if you have problems with it, you should talk to him. I don't have the ability to overrule that.
yes. Booth.
That, I'm sorry, we do not have an alternate procedure in place for that. So yes, we are.
Arrow.
But I'll be quiet so that we can proceed with the vote.
Yeah, on SLA2, how are you voting? No, all of them, I thought.
No, he wants to roll.
Oh, number one?
What? Well, that's what, I just want to be clear. Matt is asking that we vote each one. Wait a minute. Actually, I don't know that I have to take a roll call. I didn't know that I have to take a roll call. I don't have an answer on that. Can we vote a roll call on the block? Okay, that's what we're doing. Then you're taking a roll call right on the block.
On the poll block. Does anybody, I'm gonna start again. I only said 5.
If you know something, if you think I'm wrong, then you can report me for that one. But we're taking a roll call on the block.
Of all of SLA2, okay? I'm gonna start again now that everybody knows. Excuse me. Aaron? Dinesh? Keenberger?
Yeah.
Booth? Katie Bordenaro? Brandt?
Yeah.
Amy Brenna abstain. Cucapolo? Chatry?
Yeah.
De La Rosa?
Yes.
Dignas? Fitzgerald, Marvin Fitzgerald?
Yeah.
Stella Fitzgerald? Flynn?
Yes.
Gammy? Gruber?
Yes.
Hager? Oh, she's not here, sorry. Corky?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Kessler? Okay, Kylie?
Yeah.
Quanars?
Yeah.
Laria? Levine?
Yes.
Metzger?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, Olson?
Yeah.
Pape?
Yes.
Raftery?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Rakoff? Riccobono? Roberts? Sands? Secunda?
Yes.
Siegel?
Yes.
Smith, Emma Smith?
Yeah.
Dr. Shirley Smith? Wittenberg?
Yeah.
And Wong?
Yes.
Okay, it passes.
Okay. Let's do cannabis.
Oh, I didn't say, I said. Oh.
All right. Let's see, we had a meeting, we did not have quorum. 4 out of our 8 committee members were in attendance, 4 were out with notice.
You did have a quorum.
I did. I thought it was +1. 50%. All right, then we did have quorum. Never mind. Believe that. So as I said, we had 77 applications to community board 2. There were various things wrong with them. Some of them weren't real addresses, some of them were doubles and triples and 15 at a time, same address, same operator. It was just a mess. But it doesn't change the fact that we did have to vet each for proximity compliance, which is really hard work. There were 2 from last month that got laid over procedurally. We voted on those and voted them in, which was Bloom Lee at 52 Kenmare and NC Accident Reports at 481 Broadway. Let's see. There were 3 that I just didn't get to, but they were the ones that gave very later notice. And we did ask for an extra 30-day extension on everything. So if we do those in December, we're fine. So I think I have to make a motion to send them back to committee for December. Is there a second? Thank you. Wait.
Yeah, you can just pull it back in. You can.
Okay, I didn't know if I had to make a motion. All right, well, those are going back. So here we go. Resolution 1 is Bloom Lee. Oh, no, resolution 1 is all of the 52 that did not respond to outreach. As you can see on the chart, when you look at it, we did proximity on many of them, but the primary reason that we denied them was failure to provide materials, failure to respond to outreach, failure to appear, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of those aren't even real, or real people even in some cases. Resolution 2, Bloom Lee on 52, which was laid over from the year before. It's like a year. And the accidents report is 3, again, the one that was laid over, 481 Broadway. Resolution 4, West Village Grocery at 31 James Street, which is actually 48 8th Avenue. It is a smoke shop, newsstand, lotto store that you all know, right across from Reggie Fitzgerald Triangle, that wants to transition. We did a deny unless. Resolution 5 was from Michael Shaw, who I'm told is very well known to this board. Griffin Green at 69 Gainsbourg, that's the front space, as you all know. Friendly amendment, if we can. Okay, so an amendment came from Carter because I didn't find one of the historical resolutions between CB2 regarding Michael Shaw, and I'd like to add it. We added the one from 2012. Can I do that? And there's another one from 2015.
It's an amendment. If you've already put it on the floor and he does it, if what you're presenting contains the language before it's presented, then it's not an amendment. It's an amendment because you've put it on the floor and then somebody is then responding to that with a change.
Okay, it was just missing the link.
Okay.
Is that an amendment or is that just like a clerical thing? Okay. Resolution 6, Ronnie Almani, Enderman Inc. He has been running an illegal dispensary in that site across the street from DeSalvio Playground for some years, so that was a deny. 7 is 244 Lafayette, the Cohen family. They own the building. They own most of the buildings on that block. It's a family business with a justice-involved individual attached. We did a deny unless there. 8 was Ballagame Cannabis. It is just a few feet from Paul's place, right down the street from the Salvation Army and right across from the Y where the kids go to camp. It is not a great place for a dispensary, therefore we denied. Also, the operator was found to have been running an illicit dispensary under a membership model.
consumption lounge in a cafe they own next to their dispensary in Northampton. So we couldn't be sure that that was not going to happen here. Resolution 9, Juan Torres, DBA Grand Peconic Ventures. He didn't appear. And in fact, I spoke to Mr. Torres, who sounds great, but his team, his investors, did not even tell him about the meeting. So he's going to come visit us in December, and he's just going to rock with the denial because they're telling him to. And that's it. Okay. Are there any of those that anyone wants to hear more about or needs to discuss? Otherwise, we will vote on those also as a block. All those in favor? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, let's get our abstentions. We have Sands, we have Kessler. I'm sorry, I saw Kessler, I see Roberts. And you and Brenna. And 1, 2, 3, those are 4 abstentions. And any recusals? They're all, I'm sorry, Dignus is all. Oh, I'm sorry, but he's not in the room, he can't vote. There's no proxy voting. So, okay, and are there any recusals? Thank you. Okay, we are open dining.
First of all, I need no applause. I fucked up. So I absolutely fucked up and I caused this motion to be brought on. I will continue. All right, so we
love you, but we still need you to move on.
That's right. So there are 2 resolutions. One is on sidewalk cafes and the other is on roadway cafes. So with that, therefore be it resolved on the sidewalk one, that's page 8 of the sidewalk cafe resolutions. It will be adding lines to the definition of what a sidewalk cafe is, being adjacent to the building line of, and does not include the furnishing zone. Right now, it's not clear in the language, and I put where that will go. I'm gonna have to put this down. The second one is the definition and context within a historic district. So odd. And it's actually not defined, but there's no definition of historic district in the language. So we're just defining it. They do define what LPC is. So we're just asking them to define what a historic district is. So this is taken straight from the city administrative code. Happy to send it to you directly. The next one is eliminating the phrase that is physically attached to a building regarding the Landmarks Preservation Commission review. Adding in the phrase or disprove, adding in the phrase review, and replacing the phrase physically attached. I mentioned that earlier. Adding in language that again talks about the character and the streetscape, as you saw in the whereas. The streetscape is in the city administrative code, but that is a part of what LPC looks at. And replacing the phrase such elements that are physically attached, said that before, it's in many places. And the next one is increasing the LPC review period from 10 business days, and this is just for the first year, to 30 days, only in community districts with 5 or more historic districts. The next one is replacing the exterior architectural features of a landmark building and replacing it with special architectural and historic character of the building. The next one is about revocable consent. And in there, we are saying to extend the community board review period to 60 days. That's in concert with the following community boards that have asked for that, which is CB1, CB3, CB4, and CB7, I believe. Also, we're asking for DOT to consider for anyone that was previously licensed in the pre-pandemic sidewalk cafe program, that they be allowed not to have to re-register as long as they're in good standing with DOT. So that's kind of to summarize that one. So that's pretty self-explanatory. As you know, we had the majority of sidewalk cafes, so that will reward good actors that have been in the program for a long time. The next one is about trash containers and just asking for those to be allocated in the site plan. Let's see, which is in adding in the form-fitting lids,
which is just expanding on that. And then just asking on the site plan to indicate where those trash receptacles will be with the form-fitting lids. In the whereas statements, we put in there about all of the different uses of the public realm that are being used for containerized trash, which we're all very excited about. But they are impinging on the use of the sidewalk and the roadway. So we're just asking for those to be outlined. And you can read all the different, it's coming online for residential buildings and all of that. So the next one is that the seats on the site plan should combined not exceed 50% of the establishment's interior seating capacity. And then a blanket waiver of the regulations. We're asking for this phrase to be struck. You see in the whereases, it gives authority for any of these rules to be waived by the commissioner. And the word commissioner is defined as the commissioner of DOT or their designee. So there's just a very big loophole that doesn't really offer a lot of protections and something that could be lobbied for one individual actor. Clear path, we ask for the 3-foot service aisle. It was in the previous sidewalk cafe program that made it very successful. It's just not in there, so we're just asking for that to be part of the clear path. As you saw, the DOT is using the DOT pedestrian mobility plans where they've allocated all of the streets in the city to 4 specific categories. So we applaud that. That was in the whereas. And so we're just asking that as part of the clear path that they include separately the 3-foot service aisle. And that's basically so that table service is not happening over the public right of way. So it's pedestrian issue, safety issue, ADA issue. The next one is maintaining the there's a regional corridor streets. So if you look under the whereas, I've defined what some of those are. And there's a line item in there that would allow to happen if a regional corridor is required 10-foot clear path. And so there's something that says like, if the person or if the operator or licensee cannot maintain, if it's established they can't maintain it, then it can be reduced down to 8. And actually the DOT pedestrian mobility plan, the clear path requirements for all of those different corridors are actually reduced even more in the clear path in the sidewalk program. So we're not asking to increase. We accept the decrease and understand we want as many people to participate in this program. So we're just asking that there be no waiver on that to impede on pedestrian safety, ADA accessibility. So then the next one is talking about sidewalks, be at least that there's about community connector corridor streets, which I think it's just about requiring that anything that's listed as a community corridor street is at least 12 feet to be eligible, 12 feet within the sidewalk. And then prohibiting sidewalk cafes on global corridor streets in CB2. And we can see that list of corridor streets before, and then just to really emphasize on that regional corridor. I know a lot of you will not be, voting on this or abstaining, but if you look at what the regional corridor streets, they would actually reduce on streets such as McDougal, the required clear path. So just thinking of, again, pedestrian safety on streets such as Mulberry, Bleecker, Christopher, Carmine, and West 8th. So just wanted to really emphasize that. So let me go back, see where I was. So we did the blanket, the clear path. This one's really, there's various things in here about prohibiting the placement of host stands on the sidewalk, placing server stations with point of sale systems, bus tubs on folding racks, other storage and A-frame signs that would again impede on that clear path requirement. As well as the storage of those items. And then this one is something that we hear a lot about. So it's just about ensuring that anyone lining up on the sidewalk is not blocking the clear path or the furnishing zone. So the furnishing zone is that space on the sidewalk immediately adjacent to the curb. It used to be called the amenity zone, but again, it's using the DOT pedestrian mobility plan. If you've taken a look at that, it's now called the furnishing zone. Then we go to the service aisle, and again, just calling out the service aisle very specifically for that 3-foot service aisle. Clearances, we in here put, this is all from
past resolutions of, and I'm happy to cite those specifically for you. You can go to the CB2 outdoor dining page. It has all of our past resolutions and letters, as well as other information of how to get involved in the hearing on Monday. So in there, we've just changed. So there's a whole list in the rules. Of different elements and there are different required clearances. So they didn't have pedestrian ramps in there. If you're curious what a pedestrian ramp is, it's like that corner curb cut. Whereas a curb cut is a separate thing where that's in the middle of the street, kind of where like a driveway is or whatnot. So there's a distinctive difference there. And then we want to support the idea of daylighting at street corners. I know a lot of boards are doing resolutions on daylighting, and that's ensuring that there's a visibility zone, again, pedestrian safety and ADA accessibility. And primary building entrances, adding in the words except for entryways for ground floor residents, and you can see all that, and I won't read all that there, but that's just to ensure that someone is not having table service happen across their entryway that would impede again on accessibility and pedestrian safety. The other one is adding a non-approaching side for bus stop poles and adding in approaching side. So just the clearance for a bus to be able to actually like pull into where the pole is to pick up people. So approaching being it's going the direction of traffic, and non-approaching is being not going the way of traffic. And so let's see. Awnings and umbrellas. So just again, requiring that the sides and the front of the sidewalk cafe must remain open at all times. That's just being specific. If you look at the drawings on the DOT website from their fall 2023 presentation, that's exactly what they're showing. So we're just asking for it to be clarified in the rules. Planters, again, this is about the storage of them and not having them being stored in the furnishing zone after hours or next to the building. And that's just for other safety reasons. Prohibiting the use of bar high top tables in sidewalk cafes and standing only tables. That's just to, again, we're trying to mitigate the noise the best that we can and it tends to be just a little bit anyways, I won't go into that. Parks, adding in that no sidewalk cafes should be located within a New York City park. Seems logical. And then for hours, so we're just asking that the hours that are in the rules actually follow what is in the legislation. So we kind of are talking about legs and regs here. You've got the legislation and you've got the regulations. So in the regulations, they have a straight in the law, local law 121 of 2023, they have a midnight across the board closing time, and they've adjusted that in the rules to be a little bit different. So we're just asking that they align. And we're also asking from our past board resolutions, since the hours go across the board, the hours make no designation from residential, commercial only, mixed use, et cetera. So we're just putting language that was in a resolution that was passed by the board about a year and a half ago. Next, for advertising, we're just taking out the word sponsor, that a sponsor logo can be on the outside. We're just trying to, I don't know if you guys have seen, but in out-of-home media, there are ad buys for the sides of the current sidewalk cafes. So it is being monetized and it's not really being enforced. Yes? Okay. Asking for a deposit from an abandoned roadway cafe so that the city was not taking over that cost. As you know, the mayor just announced another 5% PEG program to eliminate the gap. It's very costly in terms of what it takes. It's not just kind of two people going in and taking it down. There's police hours and all these different costs. Pest control, we're just asking that is on a monthly basis, and that's just put in there as no duration is asked of it. And then just saying when you renew for your license after 4 years to make sure that is still included. Staffing, we're asking for table service by server or wait staff in tables in sidewalk cafes. And then for enforcement, we're just taking out the fact that there's a clause in there that's a little bit of a loophole. It basically says that if someone
if the licensee, if someone of a person, not even an employee, but if a person commits a violation that then leads to them possibly having their license revoked, that the licensee is not responsible. So again, that seems like a big loophole, so we're just asking for that to be removed. So that's enforcement and that's on that one. And then on Roadway Cafe, I won't go through everything.
Unfortunately, we literally have.
So
Actually, yes, there is nothing that prevents us from voting on it as is. Unfortunately, we have to leave. So I'm going to ask, is there anything final that you want to say, or else I will ask for a vote on this?
We ask for patron bathrooms, I think is really important. That's in there. Patron bathrooms. And yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's number 48.
Okay, I'm going to ask,
Okay.
the last vote is a roll call vote anyway, because we need to have the attendance. So I'm gonna ask for, I am sorry to cut you off, but we do have to leave. Unfortunately, I don't have a choice.
So it's just asking for a patron bathroom.
So I'm going to
seating and there's no
I'm going to
additional.
ask for a roll call vote on this last item, please. We do have to. Yes, we are.
Go as soon as you tell me to go.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, last vote. Okay. All right, Aaron.
So sorry.
Finish. Oh, okay, no on. Okay, hold on. All right. Okay, no on one, yes on two. Oh, okay,
We just stepped down.
yes, no on one, yes on two. How can I get this lower for me? All right. Keenberger. Yes. Okay, Booth,
Yeah.
Bordenaro,
Yes.
Brandt,
Yes.
Amy Brenna abstain. Kekapolo,
Yes.
okay, Chatry,
Yes.
De La Rosa,
Permission to explain my vote.
no.
I would just say that the person who's telling you who's over here to vote against this has an active lawsuit to end this program. So I just think about that. Thanks.
Okay, let's go. How are you voting?
Yes.
Okay, Dignus? Okay, I got it. I'm just writing it down. Mar Fitzgerald? Stella Fitzgerald? Flynn?
Yes.
Gammy?
Yes.
Gruber? Okay, Corky? Kazaz? Oh, he's not here. Sorry. Kent?
Yes.
Kessler?
No.
Okay. Kylie? Clonars? Okay. Laria? Yes. All right. Levine?
Yes.
Metzger?
No.
Okay, hold on.
I'm returning.
Olson? Pape?
Yes.
Raftery? Rakoff?
Yes.
Roccabono?
Yes.
Roberts?
No.
Sands? Secunda?
Yes.
Siegel?
Yes.
Emma Smith? Dr. Shirley Smith? Wittenberg?
Wittenberg?
Wong?
Yes.
Okay.
It passed?
Yes,
Okay.
passed.
And
Any new business? I trust not. Motion to adjourn. Thank you. Appreciate your patience.
Okay.
Supposed to turn these to ring binders in?
Yeah, I'm giving mine to Mark.